Brew Pub, 4-time winner, 12 seconds in his career.
Bad stumble to start last time when he was in against horses that are grade 1 horses relative to these. He's taking a much-needed drop.
And Sin Nombre, outside post, Christopher Elliott listed.
Yes, I think he's the toughest horse to make it here. I would take him against the 2 in a head-to-head for $5 if you're interested.
Give me a moment.
Greg stole all my ones so that I wouldn't buy junk food.
I'm looking out for you, as
always.
always.
I appreciate it. My mom appreciates it.
You can download free Equibase past performances. Follow along with all the stats of the horses, trainers, jockeys by going to NYRA.com/TV schedule. And do that now. Play along with us as we get set for a pick 6. John in the kitchen that kicks off in this third race here coming up at 7 furlongs. How do you get us started here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3 middle horses, 3, 4, and 5, are the ones that are going to get you to stay alive here in this pick 6. And depending on the way that you want to approach it, the opinions you have elsewhere in the sequence, it might be okay to lock this race up with those 3 horses. For me, the one that I would pick if I was forced to single one would be the 4. That's Money. That's Money's ran extremely well in his last 2 starts for the group, for the level. Has run well in his last 2 starts. Ran a lifetime best last time. And then switching barns to Rudy Rodriguez, who Rudy can move one up, can improve one. And it's nothing against Bruce Brown or Todd Pletcher, but Rudy, when horses move to his barn and they make their first start with him, out of 1,611 horses, 22% of those are winners. It's just something that Rudy can do well, especially on this circuit. So it just looks like That's Money feels like one that could take a step forward. And since it seems like I won't see you guys before the next race at Tampa, I thought I'd also tell you that I like the 8. Keegis, I guess that's how we're pronouncing it. A horse that spent some time up here in New York, or up there in New York, but one that has some early speed. And at this level, I think speed is the biggest weapon you can have. And if a horse can get out, get in the front, get brave, relax a little bit, I think it could be dangerous. So I'll go with the 8, Keegis at Tampa, and I'll see you guys back for Aqueduct for the second leg of that pick 6.
All right, JK, thanks. Yeah, that race at Tampa, 6 minutes away from the 4th. That's a 5.5 furlong sprint for 8,000 claimers who have not won 2 lifetime. We'll get to that in a moment.
I think 5 years ago, I would have agreed with Jonathan that Rudy's moving horses up off the claim. It's simply not the case anymore. He's been at a much lower percentage over the last few years, and you pointed out to me the short stat in the form has him at 4%. So I'm not sure. Now, that's not to say the horse can't win, but I wouldn't want to bet on a horse off the claim from Rudy needing a horse to improve to win.
Pick 6 pool, an additional $90,000 bet into that carryover that was just shy of $25,000. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at the Englehart horses, beginning with the Rail Runner. Horse Be With You coming in off of a layoff and watching that last race at Parks, in which I wholeheartedly agree with Andy that this is a horse that prefers 2 turns when he can sit and control the pace. But he couldn't even get close to it last time. He just looked like he was ridden in a protective manner last time out. And looking at him here in the paddock and out on the racetrack, he just looks like he needs a start. And he also gives the appearance of being a little bit of a nervous type too. So I will definitely take the wait and see approach with him. Now, on the other hand, I do like the other Chris Englehart horse in number 5, Brew Pub. As Andy said, bad start last time, has been facing much better. Got a really big warm up from Jose Lascano trying to assuage that propensity to, not that he's making a habit of it, but at least avoid what happened last time. Moving very well out there. Wish he looked a little bit better overall. Granted, he's a horse that typically doesn't look great in his coat. He is carrying good weight. Wish he looked a little stronger behind the saddle. Now, all things fair, I preferred the looks of number 3, Montebello, in here, but I will stick with my selection, whom I like on paper, in number 5, Brew Pub. Greg?
That's tremendous.
8-5 favorite, Maggie, thank you. And you see both Tampa and Aqueduct on our screen there. Tampa, right-hand side. And if the snow gave it away, that's New York there on the left as we get set for this pick 6.
No snow in Tampa, or Kay should be very mad at us.
That would have been my fault. I would have taken full credit. So 8-5 Montebello here in New York. Quickly, we can tell you as they roll by in the picture, 4-1's your favorite at Tampa. The 2 Melody win, wide open race.
I got no problem with that. I got the race open to 2, 5, and 6, and maybe the 7 is a stalker speed. I thought the 3 was the main speed in here. Jonathan seemed to think it was the 8. I didn't think he was as fast as the 3, and maybe even the 7. So we'll see how that pace develops.
All right, again, we'll get back to Tampa as soon as we kick off this pick 6 carryover. 8-5. Montebello, solid favorite. Lane Luzzy, coming off a good effort last time out. Let's see how this kicks off here. Chris Griffin to get us started in this Sunday Pick 6 carryover.
And they're off. Breaking in a tangle was Brew Pub. It's the trailer. The rest of the field lined up here on the front end, and in between horses, that's Montebello. Montebello now is clear, is up by a full length, call it a length and a half. Lineup of 4 in behind this leader. Horse Be With You is at the rail, is now a challenging second. In between horses, 3 Path, that's Money. Then now bursting on through is Persistent Danger as those 3 bandy back and forth. Just behind them is in 5th is going to be Sin Hombre and the trailer Brew Pub after the trouble at the start. 23.54, and they're chasing Montebello. Montebello's got the lead, has less than a half mile to go now, and Montebello is in front, is still up by a full length. Fully in pursuit, here comes That's Money, and That's Money is right there in second. Sin Hombre following from third. Losing some ground was Persistent Danger. Brew Pub is running now towards the outside, is starting to make up some ground after the trouble at the start. Brew Pub is on the move and is about to challenge and take second in full pursuit to the leader, Montebello. 47 seconds flat for the half-mile time. Montebello is trying to see him all the way. Montebello at the top of the stretch, but Brew Pub continues to have that momentum. Can Brew Pub keep this rally going? Brew Pub to the outside, down to the inside, Montebello. Montebello still fighting on for a final furlong. Now stalling a touch there as Brew Pub is trying to cut into the margin, but Montebello is still holding off this rival. It's well back to third there. That's Money. Montebello, Lane Luzzy, they'll get the victory. Front-running score. Brew Pub second, That's Money. Tight here for fourth. That's Horse Be With You to the inside of Sin Hombre in 1 minute 24 and 4.
Montebello the win, little lucky here too because Brew Pub ran huge, but the start cost him.
Yeah, dirt racing, the best horse wins a lot of the time. Whether or not that was the case this time is obviously open to debate, but a nice job and a good job by Carlos Figueroa getting him to run, and a good job by Lane Luzzy. One thing about Lane Luzzy, he is not afraid to go to the front. And there's too many riders here that are thinking too much and rating speed horses. And there were 2 guys inside of him that could have had speed, but Lane knows, I go, they don't. And so the 5 gets eliminated at the break, completely eliminated at the break. And then the horse he has to beat gets loose in the lead in a slow pace, and that was a very slow pace. You can even see it by the final time. You make that big run, that big wide run, and it looks like, oh, you got better horse. Listen, this is his own fault. Through his head, he did it to himself. Nobody did it to him. But the reality is you make that run to get there wide while the other horse is walking on the front end. Well, he's going to have something left in the tank, and yeah, Brew Pub ran amazingly well to be second here and probably was best. But you know what? He cost himself by his antics to start. Nobody ran into him.
Stumbled at the break last start. More problems today for Brew Pub. Very likely was best, but got to get out clean. Certainly against a horse who was all alone on the front end here in Montebello. 3-5-4-1. 9-5 favorite. Starts off this pick 6 carryover.
And one of the things I really like that we've seen from Lane Luzzy, particularly this week, but that he is just not afraid to be aggressive. And he's won some races this week that I'm not sure other riders with a passive riding style would have won. And he is not afraid to be assertive. And that's the right plan as far as I'm concerned. And I like what I see from Lane.
Good for him, yeah. And his father, Mike, of course, won lots of races on this circuit. His agent now. So it's Team Luzzy tackling things here in New York as we check in for the first time at Tampa Bay. 5.5 furlongs in this 8,000 non-winners of 2 life claiming event coming up. Let's check in with Acacia Clement on what to expect from this race in the Sunday card.
Hey, Greg, and yeah, as you guys touched on briefly before, the board kind of indicates how evenly matched a lot of these horses do appear to be, and especially when you get down to these lower levels, sometimes they're not the most consistent. And I agree with the same 3 horses that Andy touched on. We'll start with the 2 that come out of that common race on January 25th, looking at the 2 Melody Win, a horse who was urged to kind of be a little bit more into a stalking spot. It seemed like a rather indecisive ride in the stretch to me. He was kind of pulled left and right by the rider and then just missed. He does get Sammy Marin aboard today, who's been riding very well throughout this meet at Tampa Bay Downs. I thought that this horse looking very good in this field, very fit, now third off the layoff as well. And I do think that shorter is better. So the 5.5 might actually suit him quite well. As far as the 5, Dive Master does go off very slow last time out and far back, and just not quite enough, but trying to close. A horse that looked well turned out coming in for Mary Leitner. I thought ran well 2 starts back when able to be a little bit more forwardly placed than he was last time out. So hopefully able to get out of the gate a bit better today. Does have a 10-pound apprentice aboard who hopefully will be able to lighten things up a little bit and have him be a bit more forward. The 6, Black Seal, a horse that I thought last time out making his first start on dirt in a long time, ran a decent 3rd place finish in that race where he was pretty much niggled on throughout to be closer to the pace or as close as possible. Just this big, burly, blocky sprint type of build. Not really built like a horse that would prefer the synthetic, built much more like a dirt horse. I'm hoping you can build off of that last race. And just watching all the replays from in here, Too Much Ain't Enough. The 3 was the horse that went out to the front and opened up early on. He is definitely the fastest early in here. And I think that there could be some other pace, especially with the presence of Uncaptured Star. Keegs, will see what he does off of the layoff, but there could be a little bit of pace more than anticipated, especially with the presence of that 3, Too Much Ain't Enough, who's a bit of a runoff. But loading in for race 4, sprinting on the main track, Jason Beam standing by with the call.
Dive Master. Putting on Dive Master, Black Seal, and Golden Survivor will be all set for a start here in today's 4th. Dive Master coming up. Winning on Black Seal, Golden Survivor. Going to be the final pair. We're just about set for a start. Today's 4th, our ultimate 6 on a Sunday. Golden Survivor, John Geraldo to the outside draw. Starter Eddie Boobles back out front. We'll send them on their way as they're in the gate. And the race is on. Tiz Lord away a little bit awkwardly. Good start in the center. Too Much Ain't Enough reaching out for the early advantage. Melody Win was out quickly. Up from between horses, Uncaptured Star takes over 3rd. Keeg starts to move with 7th Anniversary. They're 4th and 5th. Out to their outside, Very Debonair in the red colors is 6th. Way out wide goes Golden Survivor from 7th. It's a length more then. Back to No Problem Joe at 8th. Black Seal is 9th with I'm Still Brave toward the inside. It's then a space of 7 or 8 more. Back to Dive Master and another 3 to the slow starting Tiz Lord. Too Much Ain't Enough. Daniel Centeno, foot on the gas pedal here. 21 and 4 the opening quarter mile. Too Much Ain't Enough has opened up 3. Down on the inside, Melody Win, Uncaptured Star. That one's outside there, right together, 2nd and 3rd. No Problem Joe is 4th. Black Seal has a little bit of run, is looking for a seam going inside of Keegs. As they come to the top of the stretch, Too Much Ain't Enough has to make 3/16 of a mile more. Melody Win to the inside, trying to run on. Uncaptured Star, then comes No Problem Joe. Black Seal wheels to the outside from 5th, as they have just over a 16th of a mile left to go. Too Much Ain't Enough. Melody Win trying to sneak through down along the inside for Samuel Marin. Here comes Melody Win right on through. Melody Win got through and won at a length and a half. Too Much Ain't Enough 2nd, Black Seal 3rd. 4th was very close, either No Problem Joe or Uncaptured Star.
Melody Win able to eke on by up the fence after Too Much Ain't Enough. Flying early, 21 and 4 opening quarter, 45 and 1 to the half, and then weakens late.
As it turned out, ready for it? Too Much was more than enough. That horse is fast. I wouldn't want to get involved with him, that horse early. He can fly. You could see he was on fumes, but only one horse could get to him. And I'll tell you what, Melody Win with a great trip and ride just got to him.
We're going to look back on the road to the Oaks and Kentucky Derby from Saturday at Tampa Bay. John Hancock's 2nd career start, first beyond 6 furlongs, first round 2 turns, and a dogfight with a more experienced runner. He passed it all. Back with you on our Sunday program here on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you by Naira Bets, where you can play all the action. Thanks for watching America's Day at the Races underway with the Pick 6 here in New York. Showed you that fourth in Tampa Bay. And the Pick 6 carryover begins with this one here, Montebello. Lane Luzzy, gate to wire win.
You know, horses that behave, good things happen. Horses that misbehave, bad things happen. In this case, Montebello and Lane Luzzy cruising the front end and just really having a huge tactical advantage and a talent advantage on most of the contenders. And Group Hub, who should be getting his picture taken, it's his own fault. If you can't get out of the gate like that, and you're just spotting them. And when you spot a horse that's good and a controlling speed, tough combination to overcome.
So 6-year-old son of the two-time Horse of the Year, Curlin, picks up his 5th career victory in 21 career starts. It's the favorite to start the Pick 6 carryover, $5.60 for the win. 3-5-4 finish here in race 3. Back at Tampa, blazing fast. Too much ain't enough. Trying to do it on the front end. Weakens late. And Melody Win comes up a very narrow opening on the inside for the victory.
Yeah, no, was able to come through. And, you know, it's funny, Tampa, it does seem like a lot of times the riders stay outside. I don't know whether it's an issue with the rail, but Tampa's a place where you all too often see him outside. Now, obviously, yesterday the rail was a good place to be. It didn't seem to hamper this horse coming through, but it took a while to get to a tiring leader. Melody Win gets the job done at 7-2.
GOP Racing Stable, Gerardo Ochoa, Melody Win. Too much ain't enough. Black Seal. 1, 2, 3, I should say, for that 50-cent trifecta. $157 coming back. Wow. Generous. We're going to take a timeout. Andy Serling ready to reveal.
Huge moment for everybody.
An ever-changing but starting point of his top 10 Kentucky Derby contenders. Find out who's on the list when we come back.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
It is all she feels pretty. The sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Back on our Sunday coverage of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. How on the money was my weather report from Tampa Bay?
Really, it was impressive. No, really, you have a future ahead of you.
Sunny and 70.
You really do. Looks warmer. Keisha looks, she's not wearing her overcoat. I think it's the first time she's been to Tampa where she didn't have to wear her overcoat.
You can, You can look at what happened Saturday in the Sam F. Davis and say, well, this horse, needs to improve, needs to get faster. This is his second career start. It's his first time going 2 turns, and he was locked in a battle with a much more experienced horse in one of the fastest times ever at the distance of the racetrack.
No, I'm not. I don't want to knock him. He got an 85 buyer in his second start. Obviously, he has to get faster, but as you say, it's only his second career start. Now, the problem is he's only going to have 2 more starts before the Derby, so whether or not he's going to be able to get to where you'd want to be in a semi-rush job, but to go from 6 furlongs to a mile and 16th, especially against a more experienced horse, to Owen Almighty, I don't like it when a race is run like, where they had the best of it being up front. But if you look at all the results of the dirt race at Tampa, it wasn't a speed track yesterday. And maybe LaCar is just much better in the field. Maybe it's a situation that maybe these were the 2 best horses in the race. They were the 2 choices. I don't like the way the third horse tried to make a run and couldn't gain any ground because the pace was quick. But listen, it was a good performance for a second-time starter. How could you knock it? Whether or not he ends up being a Derby contender is another story, but we'll find out more in the next month or 2.
So he impresses, start number 2. In a race that, would look like a lot of runners. We weren't sure it was going to sort of assert themselves. Obviously, Acacia, you were there. What do you think of the performance?
Well, I thought the top 2 finishers were very game, though I do agree with what Andy said that the front end really did seem to be where you wanted to be on yesterday's card on the main track. However, as far as John Hancock is concerned, it was a tall order going from 6 furlongs to 2 turns off the back of a maiden win in just his second start and facing some salty competition. And he was actually passed at the 8th pole, Flavian Pratt said, and then he came back incredibly gamely. I caught up with his trainer Brad Cox this morning, who said he came out of the race great, very sound, very happy horse, and he did say that the Tampa Bay Derby is not off the table, but as it's exactly 4 weeks away, they said they might be considering giving him a little bit more time before his next start, as a lot was thrown at him this weekend. But of course, a huge effort and a lot to be commended for. As far as the runner-up, Owen Almighty, caught up with Irad Ortiz after the race, who said he felt it was a huge difference with the addition of those blinkers, so much more focus. And his trainer Brian Lynch said it was a bit tired this morning, as is to be expected after running so hard and trying so hard in that effort. But Brian saying that the Tampa Bay Derby still a possibility for Owen Almighty as well, who proved yesterday that even with the second that he could get the distance. So we'll see what happens with these 3-year-olds moving forward, but it is that exciting time of year, Greg.
Yeah, it really is. As we take a look at the leaderboard, you have Brad Cox, trainer of John Hancock, said afterwards he was a little hesitant about the Tampa Bay Derby coming back in just 4 weeks after this hard-fought performance. So wait and see kind of what's next for him. And if he does need more time, maybe only one more Derby prep.
Well, he's not.
That would be
not a horse that would be on my is or would be on my Derby list, especially he's only getting one more start. And you just wonder a little bit with rushing these horses. I'll give you an example. And a lot of times these are trainers doing what owners want to do. It's not just a trainer making the call. Keep that in mind. Very frequently, owners want to be aggressive, just a touch. Brilliant Bacon is maiden. Comes here, runs a very effective second in the Gotham, but he's really a horse that just was never able to put together, and he just fell apart once he hit the Derby. He was also ran, I think, in the Indiana Derby or second in there. But rushing these horses to make a race, it just doesn't work out in time. Listen, you want to take a shot. There's only one Kentucky Derby, but you really want to get there with this horse making his third start? I know I don't want him.
So, and look, time to get better, time to evolve and grow up a little bit. We'll see, but not a lot of time, as you have said. Your top 10 list as of right now, obviously things will change.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call these opinions as much as I think these are the 10 horses you want to look at right now. I mean, they haven't made any starts, and that's why I went sort of top-heavy with recency. We saw how well Sandman ran in the previous start in the Southwest. We'll see if he can get out of the gate in the Rebel. Burnham Square, I really like what he's done, and I'm rooting for Ian Wilkes. How can I knock Captain Cook and how well he ran? And we'll see him coming back in the Wood Memorial. Citizen Bull, I don't think you can knock his races. I want to see what happens if he gets in a tussle or he can't make the lead, but he's been good.
Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, came back impressive to win for Baffert in his 3-year-old debut.
Yeah, if you're upset you weren't able to get some of that 6-1 in the last Derby pool on Barnes, get a hold of me. I'm happy to book a few hundred or a few thousand from you at those odds, but I still think he's worth talking about as a Sovereignty, who had that impressive maiden-breaking win in the race at Churchill Downs, coming from last. The Kentucky Jockey Club, I think. It was one of the races. I can't remember if it was the early one or the later one. Chancellor McPatrick is a big question mark because of his Breeders' Cup. But he ran so badly, you want to see how he does next time. Rodriguez was fast. I don't think he benefited from rating him behind Citizen Bull last time. Tapan Street's going to have to improve, but I thought he actually ran very well in the Holy Bull. Hopefully he's getting 2 more starts. If he has 1 more start, I want no part of him. East Avenue, he hasn't run this year, but a lot of people loved him in the Breeders' Cup. I wasn't one of them, but he might be pretty good, and he lost all chance to start in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, you really got to throw that race out. I think probably of that list, maybe almost of any 3-year-old, that's the one now that everyone's very excited to see come back.
Well, if you're very excited to see him come back, which is fair, and I think that's true, but you should feel the same way about Chancellor McPatrick. He's a dual Grade 1 winner as opposed to 1 Grade 1, and he stunk as well, but maybe he didn't have the excuse that East Avenue did.
4th here in New York, start of the late pick 5. 6 furlongs, $50,000 claiming race. It's your 6-5 favorite. Print Rack. Speed outside, but there's some speed inside too. Stay with us. Good to have you with us here on the weekend Sunday coverage of America's Day at the Races as we get set for the late pick 5. And Defusky Island, this horse, quick from the rail.
Yeah, he's a last time was the time horse. I'm not buying the time form base projector that said he's going to have an easy lead on the 5 Print Rack.
Magnificent Mile, Linda Rice off the claim.
Yeah, this is, I believe, actually where I went in this race for Linda off the claim. I like the cutback and distance.
Master of Arms comes off a win.
He's in good form. I mean, and, Oscar Barrera got him to run as well, if not better, off the claim.
Iridescent just claimed. Il Cave Cantermachi Barn.
Cantermachi Barn firing on all cylinders. Already have a win today. Tough to claim from Linda Rice. Last race, the best figure he's run recently.
And this guy is fast outside. Print Rack. Rudy Rodriguez.
I'm with you. It's a weird analyzing his last race because on the surface things he held well, involved in a fast pace, but that was a giant speed track. So I think it made him look better, but that was the only race really on that card that completely collapsed. So it's a little tricky to read, but he's fast, I agree, and I think he's going to be in front.
He's the 8-5 favorite right now as we go to Maggie.
Oh, my goodness. Oh my gosh, I was nearly blinded. The sun's trying to poke out here in New York. I'll take it. Keep working at it, son. Cut through those clouds. As we'll take a look here at Print Rack, your favorite, a horse whom I generally never like. He never looks good to me, and I often question, how does he run the races that he does? Well, the answer, Maggie, would be that he's just fast. I will say this, though. There's been a bit of an equipment change to that extension blinker that once upon a time he wore all the time because he would bear out significantly. Then they kind of worked with him, got it straightened out. He was wearing shortcut cheater blinkers for most of 2024, and now they've gone back to it after what Andy was hinting at could be a bit of a suspect performance last time out. And also, while I do question the pace projector too, in that I thought he was as equally fast as number 1 Defusky Island. Sometimes when, and he is a horse that has worn it before, so I'm not saying this will definitely happen, but sometimes when you put that extension blinker on over one's eye, it does lead to slower brakes the first time that they wear it. But again, he's reapplying that blinker. I landed on number 2, Magnificent Mile as well. And he's been facing some tougher company. Dropped in for the 40 last time. Linda took him there. He cuts back in distance. And while he physically actually looks like a horse who would be successful at a 1-turn mile, I do think he makes a lot of sense here. Looks the best in the field. JK, you went to the rail runner, though, Defusky Island.
I did, Mags. This is a horse where it just feels like to me the 3 main horses in here that can win are the 1, 3, or the 5. No offense to your pick. I understand where you're coming from there. Because I feel like those are the 3 best, give me the speed of the speed, who I believe is the fastest horse, and I do believe it's Defusky Island. I also think the cutback from the 6.5 to the 6, while it might not seem like a lot, the pace figures suggest that the 1 is going to enjoy that. Give me the 1 down on the inside.
7-2 from the rail. He used to be very fast. He's not quite as fast as he used to be. Got the lead last time. It'll be interesting to see who does get it here.
He was in a race last time that was completely devoid of speed. Yeah. That was the thing.
This guy right here is very quick. Let's watch this battle up front. Chris Griffin, the call.
And they're off. Squeezed at the start. Magnificent Mile. Just had to steady. Is going to be the early trailer. Print Rack with the early speed, and at the rail, Defusky Island. These 2 hook up, and they're far apart and move in closer now, but it's going to be Defusky Island who's got a nose in front. Chased all the way by Print Rack and in behind them. It's a tight hold here on Master of Arms. Wants to go, is at the rail here for Romero Mirage, and moving up to the outside, there is Iridescent. The trailer, Magnificent Mile. They work into the far turn, 22.75. And here is the leader, Defusky Island. From off the pace, Iridescent's on the move, 3 wide. Print Rack didn't get to the front, is back to 4th. Just got passed by Master of Arms, who's traveled well throughout, is at the rails, going to need some room, and from the back trying to launch a rally. Here comes Magnificent Mile. Very tightly bunched here as they reach the top of the stretch, and Defusky Island still there. Iridescent is ready to pounce, and on the grandstand side, Magnificent Mile runs on. Master of Arms is trying to rally on through, but Iridescent's got the jump on all of them. It's Iridescent trying to finish it off. Master of Arms is going to try and squeeze on through towards the inside. Grandstand side, Magnificent Mile, but Iridescent still finds enough. Iridescent almost there. Iridescent gets the victory. Iridescent wins it over Magnificent Mile and Master of Arms in 1 minute 10.79 seconds.
Iridescent, biggest price on the board at 8-1. Nice claim. Ilkai Cantermachi Barn.
This horse really improved to win today. He showed speed he hadn't really been showing, and was able to hold off the 2. I mean, obviously, once again, Magnificent Mile, much like the prior race, had a bad break. Now, I can't see the head-on, so I don't know if this was his fault or not. But he obviously was cost a potential victory by the break. But take nothing away, this horse, unlike the winner of the previous race, this horse was fighting in a dogfight. Went after Defusky Island. Print Rack either didn't handle the track or just can't run anymore. But Defusky Island, obviously had nothing left in the stretch. But he fought him and he put him away. He's the one that put him away, and he still held off the closers. This is quite an improvement off the claim. Cantermachi's their 2nd win in our 4th race today.
$200,000 worth of claims in this race. Everyone except the 2 claimed out of here and will be moving to a new barn.
Wow, that was quite a good job by Ilkay. Claimed for $35,000. You win a race, you get about $35,000 for the win, and you get claimed for $15,000 more than you paid for the horse, all in the span of 29 days.
Pretty good return on investment.
That's a good number.
Well done. That's a double win there, no question. Race 5 here at Tampa on the turf, mile and a 16th. 4-year-olds and up who have never won 2 as we head to Acacia.
Kathleen O'Connell does send out 2 in this race, and we'll take a look at both of them. They actually come out of a common race as well, talking about Bomb Cyclone and Adios Buccaneer. This was back on January 17th, in which Bomb Cyclone was far more forwardly placed, and then you have Adios Buccaneer, who's kind of in that off-the-pace chasing spot. So complementary running styles. The winner of that race, Poker Joker, did come back to win again with a 74 Beyer speed figure. And as far as Bomb Cyclone, who's your current favorite, the 7, I noticed when watching this replay that he looked like he got pretty hot and washy that day. Very much the same again today. So that's just kind of how he is, as they were both right there. But he's big and solid, no problems with him as your favorite for Kathleen. And as far as Adios Buccaneer is concerned, a little bit more of a handier frame. Physically, I did not prefer him as much. He's consistent, though it's been a while since he's seen the winner's circle. We'll see if he can build off of, in particular, that race 2 back. Now, the number 2, Endless Rain, gets back to the turf and back to the $16,000 level at which he ran 2 starts back for Jay Bennett. Watching his replays, at least 2 back in this last time on the turf, very high-headed, kind of keen early on, doing a little bit something funky with his leads, kind of taking a few strides to get into stride. With his previous connections, he wore a shadow roll, that piece of fleece over the noseband, and the Bennett barn, he does not do that. The idea of that equipment, trying to keep their head down, as you can even see him with the pony, he seems like he's the type of horse that's a little bit funny about his head. So hopefully you will be able to settle, put that head down, and make a run, as it did seem that he kind of expended a bit more energy early on in that race. The number 10, Don't Be So Grouchy, I love this name, is not really a horse that you can recommend on paper, at least based off of his last turf race, which was for this level a few back, in which he just never ran a step. Maybe he's just a better dirt horse. It's just that looking at him, he's a generous price right now. He's built like a horse that wants to go long on the turf, and he's one that's been sprinting on the main track recently. So I'm wondering what will happen as he gets back to what I think is his preferred surface and distance in a race that I think it's hard to really trust many of these runners, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Yeah, Bomb Cyclone, the 7. 3rd off a short layoff, deserving favorite, 9-5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, the 2, 4, and 7, the horse they're betting, are very clearly the right 3 horses. I bet a couple dollars on the 1, Starship Tango. This horse, to me, is the speed. We'll see if the 8 can run with him. But he's on the turf the first time. He's a central banker who's not really much of a turf sire, but he's not much of a synthetic sire either. And this horse has a decent synthetic race. And the dam has got 2 turf winners out of 5 to try it. And the 2, they were okay. So I'm going to take a little shot with that one to wire the field.
Speed inside from that one. Jason Beam, the call. Here's race 5 from Tampa Bay.
We just await Mama Band Me, and Art Handler will be all set for a start. Today's 5th, late pick 5. Art Handler, Pedro Cotto Jr. out to post 12 in the maroon and orange colors. Art Handler's in. They're all in. And the race is on. Things got tight for 2 minutes apart shortly after the start. Endless Rain toward the inside, and Immense Faith, they're flashing speed. Adios Buccaneer is right there in that front line of 3. Is trying to work over Big Toby. Art Handler going to be caught out wide as they bend into the stretch for the first time around. It's Adios Buccaneer, Endless Rain, Immense Faith. Those 3 just separated by a length. So Adios Buccaneer takes the initiative to grab the early lead. Immense Faith and Endless Rain are 2nd and 3rd. Moving up between horses, Bomb Cyclone is 4th. Then comes last U-turn up on the far outside. Big Toby is racing in 6th and 4 or 5 wide. Behind that comes Starship Tango in 7th. Phraseologism, Art Handler, they're 8th and 9th. They're 2 lengths clear of Don't Be So Grouchy. Down to that one's inside is 2 minutes apart. It's 2 more then. Back to Mama Band Me, who is the early trailer. Up front, Adios Buccaneer with some company now. Immense Faith right up alongside it. Immense Faith joins Adios Buccaneer after that 23-second opening quarter mile. Bomb Cyclone just in behind them. Then comes Big Toby. Last U-turn in the pink colors, making a bit of a move, putting a nose into that 3rd spot. Endless Rain toward the inside is 5th, but only 2 lengths off the lead. Then comes Big Toby, who starts to drop back a touch. It's a length and a half more to Starship Tango. Art Handler's trying to get underway. Also, Don't Be So Grouchy is starting to lift from the back. Around to the far turn, 46-2. Adios Buccaneer. Narrow leader to Immense Faith. Bomb Cyclone just a length back in that third spot. Down at the fence, Endless Rain. Samuel Marin looking for a seam to get through. The top four have gotten away now. Don't Be So Grouchy trying to lift from the back. Following that move is Mama Band Me. Into the stretch. Immense Faith corners a touch wide. Down at the inside, Adios Buccaneer. Room now for Endless Rain, who tries to come through. Bomb Cyclone is fourth, 2.5 lengths behind. A final 16th to go. Here's Endless Rain coming up to grab the lead from Adios Buccaneer. On the outside, Immense Faith, Endless Rain in front. Samuel Marin and Endless Rain win it. Adios Buccaneer was second. Third went to Immense Faith. Fourth, Bomb Cyclone.
Back-to-back wins for Samuel Marin. This one on Endless Rain for the Gerald Bennett barn.
Can't ride a horse any better than he rode this horse. Saved all the ground. The gap opened up in the stretch. Was able to split and run down one of his chief rivals, the number 4, Adios Buccaneer. He rides well. It's a nice ride and a good job here. Whatever little chance my horse had, which is probably non-existent, stumbling at the start didn't help his chances.
We're going to take a timeout. Prices when we come back. Kendrick Carmouche carrying on a tradition that has been long forgotten, sadly, but few organizations doing their best to remember all the contributions of black riders in this sport. We'll have that story when we come back.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. Elite Power to the front. At the 16th pole, Gunite is second, but Elite Power is moving clear and going to take the rear dirt sprint by a widening margin.
5-5 all evading at 875 down and down 900 and 900,000.
Elite Power does it again in the Breeders' Cup sprint in 108.34.
The power of Juddmonte.
Late pick 5 underway, 2 legs into this pick 6 carryover. And a nice claim by that man right there. Yokai Cantramachi, Iridescent, the biggest price on the board with the win.
Very hard.
Late pick 5.
For me, a very hard horse to make on paper. But there's no arguing how well he ran this race. He went after the Fuscial, and he put that one away. And he was able to hold off the 2. Certainly hurt himself at the start by getting left. But, you know, that's part of the game. This horse worked hard the whole way to get it done. 2 wins today for OK Cantramachi already. Has he got any more?
That's really
take a look.
Really good form last year.
That's it. He's just gonna let everybody else win. He's 2 for 2, 2 entries, 2
Mic
wins.
drop done. $18 for the win. Iridescent wins for the 4th time. 17 career starts. Magnificent Mile, Master of Arms complete that trifecta. That comes back just over $30 for 50 cents. We move on to race 5. Start of the late pick 4, 6.5 furlong sprint. All for sale in this race for $25,000. Non-winners of 2, lifetime the condition.
Yeah, I have no argument with the horse that opened up as the heavy favorite. The horse, she's always Rosie. She's the speed, and she's the horse to beat. But I think Artemis Sound is very dangerous getting back to the dirt. I understand why Todd Pletcher kind of gave up running this horse in the dirt. She's not as good as a lot of the dirt runners he has. But the truth is, that doesn't mean she's not good enough necessarily to compete in this field. And I think that's what Todd is getting around to with her, going back to maybe the right surface.
In the debut on dirt.
I mean, the horse who won is a turf horse, but horses have run okay out of that race, so I think that race is better than it looks.
Back at Tampa, Endless Rain. Again, back-to-back wins. Samuel Marin and Gerald Bennett Barn wins here for Winning Stables. His 4-year-old son of Audible gets career win number 2.
This is the trip that you always want, right? In turf racing especially. Save ground behind the pace and be able to easily split in the stretch and barely ever leave the rail and win. Good trip, good ride, good win.
So $8.20 for the victory here, Endless Rain. Adios Buccaneer, Immense Faith, 2nd and 3rd. Endless Rain, now 2 for 5 on the lawn. And the early pick 5, just over $2,100. Pretty generous there as we move on to race 6 at Tampa. 5.5 furlongs main track coming up in this maiden special weight for 3-year-olds. And a few first-time starters we'll see kick off their careers coming up. 4 to 5 though right now on the 7 over the mark. This is one of those first. Brad Cox, $600,000 first-time starter by Army Mule. And Antonio Gallardo rides.
It's actually very interesting that they paid $600,000 for this horse because is a full-dual horse that sold for significantly less money, $75,000. Now that horse is unraced. This is just the second foal, but there must be quite a story. Now, you see the part owner is Vinny Viola's St. Elias stable, who bred this horse as well, along with Harrell Ventures, who's part owner of that colloquial that ran the other day.
Yeah, 106 buyer fame.
I'm curious if Vinny bought back in on this horse or what the deal is that he ends up back with this horse who sold for $600,000 as a yearling. And, you know, probably a good sign. And Vinny raced Army Mule, but I'm curious to see what he does.
More on this race coming up. Well, as we continue to recognize Black History Month on the program, we take a look at the long, storied, but largely forgotten impact that black jockeys have had in this game. In the early days of the Kentucky Derby, black jockeys dominated America's most important race. They won 15 of the first 28 runnings that first Saturday in May. Today, while not near as prevalent as in the early days of the game, riders like Kendrick Carmouche are proud to carry on the tradition of those who came before him.
We had a few black jockeys, not a lot. We had one rider that rode for Alan Jerkins by the name of Noel Winter. He was a pretty good rider. We had one other black rider that used to ride in New Jersey, McCurdy. But after that, I don't remember a lot of, what's his name? We got one riding right now.
Kendrick Carmouche.
Kendrick Carmouche from New Orleans. He's a good rider.
I always kept a straight path, man. I knew where I wanted to be in life. My dad was a jock, so, you know, I pretty much just followed my dad all around, you know, and just watched what he done. And after a while, I thought I could do the same.
There's not a lot of African Americans on a prominent level in racing, so whenever, you know, they can win a stakes race, or even like when Kendrick won his first grade one at the Cigar Mile, I think it was awesome. I mean, the history of African Americans in racing is like a lot of people don't know it. Like, African Americans pretty much used to dominate the sport before Jim Crow.
What African American riders faced in the early part of the 19th and 20th century was outright discrimination, and it parallels the story of African Americans in America, where they worked hard, they were able to achieve, but unfortunate to their success and jealousy and outright racism, they were pushed away from the game. Thankfully, as a people, we've been able to achieve and counteract that and be able to participate in horse racing in all aspects of America today.
Oh, this was a race which I always remembered
Green Grotto fights his way back in front, fighting on his story to tell. All-Star at outside, Stall walking dude, Life in Shambles in Classy Class. Here's the wire, Green Grotto maybe. Green Grotto got it.
It was a unique experience to be able to present the trophy on Martin Luther King's birthday, and unbelievable that Kendrick was the rider of the winner.
The reporter told me, and I was like, wow, that's really something, man. I said, you know, that never happens. Like, that is history just talking about it, you know. It gave me chills that it was Martin Luther King Day, Green Grotto, and my man Gaston Grant. You know, it was just like, it was heaven.
It was just an eclipse of a moment that echoed to the great past of African-American contributions to racing, and being in that moment is one of my most cherished moments in racing.
It was a trifecta, more or less. I was part of it, and I told them, I said, this will never happen again in life on Martin Luther King's birthday. And I thought it was funny.
Pretty incredible moment in this sport that happened on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we bring in JK now, and Jonathan, such a huge impact that black riders have had in this sport. Sadly, that was forgotten for such a long time. But now a lot of places like the Ed Brown Society, others are bringing back that history from the past.
Well, I think it's important. You know, it's obviously something that we deal with in the regular world too, not just sports. That it's the best thing to do. That when for such a long time, a group of people were marginalized, that there has to be an effort to try to make up for that, to bring forth the history that may have been lost throughout that process. And I think that what we've done in this game, and it feels like I've heard this conversation be had more as of late, and I think it goes hand in hand with what the Ed Brown Society is doing as well. And the history of the sport shouldn't be forgotten just because the way that it was viewed at the time, right? And like Naj said, you know, black jockeys dominated the Kentucky Derby until they didn't. And when Kendrick wins, and Kendrick has these great moments, and not just him, but other black riders around the country, you know, Kevin Krieger when he had Golden Sense in the Kentucky Derby. I just think it's a great time for people to have a little bit of pride, and for black people to relate to riders that they see, just as the Hispanic community does as well, with the riders that they have, the Puerto Ricans, the Venezuelans, so on and so forth. So, and plus, not to mention, how can you not love Kendrick? I'm surprised he's not in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's his home, but he's got work to do here.
He's working.
Great to see, Kendrick having this success he's had. I mean, it was amazing that I believe it was Jimmy Wingfield. He was the last black rider to win a Triple Crown race, and then it was almost a century later that another black rider even showed up in that race.
Not to get overly political, but Naj is not wrong in what he said.
This fifth race, 6.5 furlongs, and there's your even money favorite. Now winners the 2 Life Claiming Group, the 4 She's Always Rosie, Linda Rice, and man, we just told you about Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard as we go to Maggie.
It's always a good feeling when the horse that makes the most sense to one on paper looks the best in the paddock, and that is exactly the case with She's Always Rosie, as she projects to be the main speed, and she's acting like it. She is very forward. She's on the muscle ever since she walked into the paddock, and she's just really well turned out. Your typical Linda Rice horse, incredibly well muscled, resplendent coat to her as well. So I really have strong feelings for a horse that is a very short price. But let's check in with her main rivals, including number 1 in here is the guys we're mentioning. Artemis Sound ran respectably well in her debut, which was her only dirt start to date. And it's not like she looks, you know, prohibitively turf. She looks as though she can handle the main track here, and also gets a sealed track to try things on. My problem is she just doesn't look as good as she did over the summer as she comes in off of a layoff. Coat's gone the wrong way, looks a little bit weaker across her top line. Just not wowing me here in the paddock to give her any sort of edge over your favorite, and here she's Always Rosie. And then there's a horse who I don't necessarily like on paper, but is quite impressive when you get a look at her here in the flesh, and that's number 2, Be Inspired, as she will run for a tag for the first time, shipping in here for trainer Brittany Russell, and she'll put a pair of short cup cheater blinkers after being completely out sprinted last time in an allowance race in Maryland. And she just has so much size to her. I mean, that goes with the Munnings line. They tend to be bigger horses who tend to be at times distance limited, but I feel like, and this is 6.5, so I'm totally splitting hairs, but I do feel like 7 is a better distance for her overall, just because she hasn't shown she's that quick. She only adds a pair of short cup cheater blinkers, and she's just that big where it might take her a little bit longer to get her stride and rhythm underneath of her. So we'll see what she does facing this crew of claimers. Greg?
Maggie, thank you. There's Kendrick Carmouche. He'll be riding for Linda Rice on the 8-5 favorite. She's Always Rosie. Kendrick having a terrific meet right now.
He is riding well, riding live horses, getting the job done, looking for a win here. And listen, if you're riding a horse like, you ride horses like this, horse 8-5, your agent's doing something well and getting them done. And I have no argument against this horse. She finished second this race to her stablemate. It was obviously an uncompetitive race as they were part of a 1-20, paid 210 this entry. Pam Pam, who won, didn't run particularly well in her next start, which kind of bothered me a little bit. But she has other fast figures to back it up, so maybe she's not as good as she once was. She's no horse to beat, but I don't mind picking against her. I like Artemis Sound getting back to the dirt in this race. I'm going to stick with her, but this is the horse to beat.
And this is the second. There she is, second start back off of a short layoff as well. We'll see if she benefits and maybe can hang on a little longer with that race under the belt coming off that little bit of time away. But Artemis Sound, and now that price is getting a lot shorter, but is intriguing. Here she is, because the only dirt start, it was her debut, and it was a figure that puts her in the mix with this 8-5 favorite with just a little improvement.
Yeah, no, I think that she's buried form because she's been running the wrong surface relative to these, I should say.
Be Inspired coming in from Maryland, blinkers on.
2 of her 3 dirt races are good enough to compete in here. Her last race, though, was obviously not good.
Horacio de Paz Barn off to claim with Just Heart.
Listen, we've seen Horacio improve a horse recently off the claim, so I'm not going to I don't think it's impossible it happens again today.
Here's the favorite, and there's Kendrick Carmouche.
She's a horse to beat, and she also has the advantage of being the controlling speed.
6-1. This is Dream on Cara. Gustavo Rodriguez with Jose Lescano.
Got a win last time in the absolute shadow of the wire when, I'm kidding, absolutely came to a dead stop late. Tough to like her to get 2 in a row in her 25th start.
Yeah, it was her first career win. It took her, as you said, 24 tries to get it. And then Dat Dares Right. Maddie overrides.
Just doesn't look fast enough to compete with these. Thus, she's the biggest price on the board.
3 minutes away in this 5th race. Again, starts the Pig 4. Let's go back to JK.
Yeah, guys, I'm just not about She's All Rosie. I thought last time she was comfortable on the front end. How much more comfortable can she get here today? And she still wasn't able to do the job. And at a short price, I'm just going to try to beat her here. I'm going to try to beat her with the 2, Be Inspired, who puts the blinkers on. If you look at that race 2 back, that race can absolutely win this one. Now, you have to try to get creative as to why this horse ran so poorly last time. And to be honest, I couldn't really come up with an answer. But because I knew the 4 was going to be so short, I could kind of justify it and get away with the idea that I just think the 2's got a chance to take a step back. Only has that one bad race, or those 2 bad races, excuse me, but the one bad race, one of them was on the turf. So only one bad race on the dirt, the 2 on the turf. And so I just felt like this Be Inspired had a chance to turn the tables a little bit. I wouldn't even be crazy I wouldn't be offended if someone said they liked the 1. We talk about this often with the turf racing and how when there's no turf to be had, sometimes these turf horses, they just might be better. On to Tampa, because we're fast and furious today on America's Day at the Races. I'm going to go with the 1, P4 down on the inside. A horse that has experience, has been running on the synthetic in the last couple of starts, but I wasn't disappointed in the fact that this horse showed a little bit of speed on the dirt on debut at Gulfstream Park. Now getting back to the dirt, I'm hopeful that P4 can run a little bit better. And a lot of times when you see these maiden races, experience goes a long way. And the fact that this is going to be the fourth start for P4 gives me a little bit of confidence as well. There's a lot of first-time starters in here, none that I necessarily trusted. Take me down to the rail with the 1 P4.
All right, that takes us through this race in that 6th at Tampa, which we'll get to. There's 7 minutes to post in that maiden special weight, 5.5 furlongs out of Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Brad Cox first-time starter is 2-5. So while I don't love to bet first-time starters, I don't know that I want to jump in the face of that freight train, Greg.
Back to this 5th here, and let's check in again before they load with Maggie.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at number 3, Just Heart. Now, as Andy was saying, Horacio DePaz doing great work, but I looked at a stat for him. First off the claim at NYRA, because he does have horses in Maryland too. He is only 4 for 39, hitting at 10% with an under $2 ROI at 180. But I will give Just Heart a little bit of credit here. You know, in what was effectively only her, well, 4th start on the dirt, but only 3rd one sprinting, she ran okay. It was a race or a track you wanted to be inside, and she did spend the majority of the race on the rail until the quarter pole, where she tried to tip out and run down gate to wire winner, follow your arrow, but it just wouldn't be. But Just Heart looks great. She even elevated once she got on track, in that she is a bit of a smaller filly, but she really kind of puffed up once Luis Rivera climbed aboard her and really strutted her stuff out there. So one that I thought there was maybe another forward move in her, Greg.
All right, thank you, Maggie. We'll see what happens coming up. 7:01, Just Heart moving to a new barn. Odds on now on She's Always Rosie.
Seems like an awfully short price, doesn't it?
It does. 5 months away, though, and just missed against a little bit tougher last start. And one of the best barns on the circuit.
Yeah, I don't think she's supposed to be 3-5 in here. I bet the 1. I'll take 3-1 on her.
Artemis Sound back to dirt, the 1 for the first time since the debut 8 starts ago. But there's your favorite, Kendra Carmouche, adjusting those goggles. Game plan, get to the front and have them staring at you the entire way.
Well, it's certainly been working in the other races. And, you know, when you get a situation where these horses are the horses to beat and they're able to control, it makes it tough to beat them, you know.
Pick 4 starts here. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Dat Dare's right. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Speed to the outside from Dat Dare's right. Right out to the front. She's Always Rosie was off a step slow, but now rushes up towards the inside. But Dat Dare's right as the clear leader is up by a half length. At the rail moving through, that's Artemis Sound, and She's Always Rosie, the favorite, back to 3rd. Just Heart is to the outside in 4th, and at the rail here's Be Inspired, moves in closer now, challenges and takes that 4th position away. The trailer, Dream on Kara. 23.41 for the opening quarter mile. Dat Dare's right at a big number, has 4 furlongs left to travel, and is in front, is up by a length and a half. To the inside there comes Artemis Sound, is traveling in tandem here with She's Always Rosie, who starts to build some momentum, has taken a challenging second. Dat Dare's right is still in front. Just Heart is trying to move up on the outside, will be 4 wide, but Just Heart is making a move here, and here comes Just Heart, just ran right by She's Always Rosie, in between horses, back to 4th, as also moving forward Artemis Sound. She's Always Rosie's got to go from there, is in that 4th spot as they reach the top of the stretch. Artemis Sound is in front, is kicking away. Artemis Sound is up by 2. Just Heart is a clear second, is trying to hold on to that spot, as from the back here comes Dream on Kara. She's Always Rosie. It is going to be Artemis Sound with a 16th left to go, is 5 clear. Artemis Sound will win this one nicely. Artemis Sound wins it over Just Heart. She's Always Rosie does reclaim 3rd in 1 minute 18 and 4.
Artemis Sound back to dirt, first time since the debut, and that proved to be a very good move for Todd Pletcher here. Late night stables, Manny Franco.
And also finding the right spot, you know, dropping her into a race that she could win. And I think the thing that's lost, it's not a criticism of Todd Pletcher in this case, like, oh, I had a horse that's a really good dirt horse and he's running on the wrong surface. Todd Pletcher has a lot of very good horses in his barn. And he's got a lot of maidens to run down in Florida. And I'm sure this horse was probably about the 13th best dirt horse he had after the debut. And Todd said, if I'm going to
lower.
Maybe even lower, right. And I'm going to do something with her. I've got to try her on synthetic and turf. And she didn't run that badly. I mean, she won on synthetic. She was second on the turf. She ran Beyer figures in the 70s, so I don't think anything that Todd did was wrong. But I think he realized, you know what? Now she is who she is. I could leave this horse in the winter in New York and run a race like this. Maybe he lost her, maybe he didn't. But the reality was that she was dirtied up in a way on her dirt form for the right reasons. It's just today she's in the right spot.
1, 3, 4, 5. As for the big favorite, odds on it, She's Always Rosie. Didn't get out of the gate great. She's a filly that wants to lead, and that compromised her chances.
Yes. Once the 6 was aggressively ridden, it hurt her. But honestly, she was terrible in here. I mean, we're talking about an odds-on horse. She really had absolutely nothing. The 1, in a lot of ways, had a tougher trip fighting to get that position.
Back to Tampa, 5.5 furlong sprint coming up in this maiden special weight. We got a 4 to 5 favorite here and a first-time starter.
Is Keisha? I want to know if Acacia thinks this horse looks like $600,000.
Over the mark. What can you tell us, Acacia? Yes, very expensive in the debut coming up and being bet like he's a star.
He certainly is, and the answer is I'm not completely sold. Yes, he absolutely could win just given who he's facing in here, but there are a couple of things that give me a little cause for pause, namely the equipment that he's wearing. He debuts first time out wearing blinkers, which is we often talk about with some top barns, typically a negative for a first-time starter. And he debuts with a cage bit, the strongest bit that you'll see a horse wear. And I found that Brad Cox's first-time starters with that kind of equipment, not usually the best of signs. So that means he must have shown something even in the mornings that he has the tendency to lug in or lug out. He's not that big. I think he's well spotted. He's incredibly fit. He's been very professional in a field of a lot of horses who were not professional at all. So like I said, he may find himself in the right place to get the win at first asking. And the dam is the sister to Grade 1 winner, the Big Beast. So there's plenty of pedigree to back up that big purchase price as well. Taking a look at another first-time starter, the 10 Brudosa. This is one who was not well behaved back in the paddock. Kicking, striking out, needed 2 handlers, very revved up. However, once they got him out of the saddling area, out of that shed row, and he was kind of into more open space, he settled down a lot after that. Son of Kozan, he's the full brother to multiple stakes place Kozaris, who Terry Pompey also trained. Typically not a barn that's ready to fire with first-time starters, but one that I would watch with interest. I think mentally needs to put a lot of things together, but he looks pretty powerful. Now looking at some horses with experience, the 9 First Act I think is the one of experience that I would want. Certainly does come out of the race that John Hancock, yesterday's Sam F. Davis winner, won first time out, and this horse broke very sharp, but let John Hancock get to the lead and ended up chasing. They did kind of go 1, 2, 3 around in that race, so there really wasn't any movement in there. And the second place finisher from there, Madhouse, came back and regressed 19 points in his Beyer speed figure, though finishing 3rd in a maiden yesterday. However, this one coming in for Tim Ham is the one physically that does look the best and looking like he has that experience edge on him, not to mention is cutting back in distance a little bit. Given that he's by McKenzie and given how big he is, I'm not told that 5.5 is really what he'd prefer. I would have loved if this race was actually a little bit longer for him instead of cutting back, but he does look very, very well prepared coming into this spot. As far as the 1 P4 getting onto the main track here for the first time since his debut, typically the Michael Yates runners, and especially with the kind of quickness and speedy pedigree that he does have, they're ready to roll early on, and this one didn't show anything first time out, and then last time out I noticed that he was a little bit high-headed early in the first time with those blinkers on. It's just a shortcut cheater blinker, so maybe second time with this equipment he'll be able to settle a bit, and we'll need to break quickly once again with that rail draw. Greg?
All right, Acacia, thank you. From 4 to 5 to 6 to 5 now in this first-time starter.
2 to 5 a little while ago. I bet the 10 in this race, and I'm really interested. I was interested in what Acacia had. Acacia was waiting to hear what she had to say about the horse, but also I thought this horse could be the sneaky one taking money. This horse was 12 to 1 when she was talking. He's drifted down to 8 to 1. Terry Pompey has this horse. This horse has 2 fulls. One of them's actually pretty good, and the other one was not good. But there's some pedigree for this horse to have a little bit of ability, and I thought it was interesting for Terry Pompey, who's a trainer that you don't read about that much. She has won Grade 1s with Currency Swap. She won the Hopeful, and she can train, and I thought Paddock might be the interesting firster. Now dropped down to 7-1. This horse is very live in the face of that Cox horse.
9 horse, though, and in case you brought it up, faced John Hancock last start, your Sam F. Davis winner, who won a very quick 6-furlong debut. Start number 3 for the 9. 2-1 right now. Let's go to Jason Beam for the call.
They're in the gate. And the race is on. Urbano showing good debut speed down toward the inside. Consolidated is also forwardly placed. And in between horses, Little Chance is also part of the early mix as well. Cantharos Jr. up from the outside over the mark. The favorites just in behind them, a joint 4th. P4 is toward the inside, 6th in the all-red colors. It's 2 more back to My Little Wildcat. Love Bucks makes a little ground between horses. Way out wide is First Act as they run to that turn. In behind that, Hightail Fox, and it's 5 or 6 more to Brian Doza, who's the trailer. El Romano, Little Chance. Those two, 1-2. As down on the inside, tight there for P4, who's trying to squeeze on through. Meanwhile, over the mark, coming with a 4-wide sweep. 5 wide, Cantharos Jr. 5 of them across the course here. As the favorite over the mark, coming up to put a nose in front. P4 tries to go with that one to the inside. Cantharos Jr.'s in behind. Little Chance is right there. Love Bucks trying to make up some ground down at the inside as P4 has gone to the front. Over the mark, trying to reel that one in with a final furlong left to go. It's P4 the leader. P4 by 2.5 over the mark. Down to the inside comes Love Bucks. A final 16th to go, and it's P4. Marcos Meneses at 11-1. Over the mark, going to have to settle for second. Bridoza flew from the back. Get up over Love Bucks for third.
P4 double-digit odds. JK, good call. He liked this one.
Great
and
call.
Your 10-horse Bridoza flying late to get third.
That horse was in another county at the top of the stretch. And if you like Gallop out, Greg, you know it's a big Gallop out for the 10. He'll be 3-5 next time. This horse, great pick by Jonathan, and I agree. This horse, trainer has decent numbers going synthetic to dirt. And, ran well to get it done. The 7 made the move and sort of ran to the money, right? The money was a little lukewarm on the 7, wasn't it? Drifting up like that?
A little bit. So the debut for that one right there. Beat at a short price for Brad Cox. P4 dirt debut. Came back in October of last year. Did not show a lot that day. Was 30-1. A lot different result this afternoon. Getting back on the dirt after a couple of synthetic starts. P4, your victor here in race 6. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this. Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. Taking you up to the big game.
I've decided I'm going to watch some of it, Greg.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that.
I am. I'm rooting for the Eagles, I've decided. You and I have agreed up here.
I mean,
the Eagles, right?
He's been the most electric player to watch this year, Saquon Barkley. It's incredible.
Yeah, next Giant.
Artemis Sound.
They didn't miss him, though.
Back to dirt. First time since the debut. And he gets to win a 3-1 for the Todd Pletcher barn with Manny Franco, who has 2 wins today.
The way she won today, did she get claimed? I mean, I'm not saying any killers behind her. She ran pretty well today. Destroyed this field. Interesting to see.
Anyone?
Much the best. Nobody's listening to us. Why would they?
Try and get that info. $8.30 for the win. Just Hart, she is always rose. Again, compromised by that bad beginning, but did not run great. Although, surprisingly, did sort of re-rally to get third, trying to find out if Artemis Sound did get claimed.
I think there was some negative rallying going on behind the first two. And the 4 was never running, probably got third by default.
Race 6, it's at 7 furlongs. 4-year-olds and up who've never won 3 or have not won a race since February 9th. Right now, thank you, John. Manny Franco, a chance for number 3 this afternoon.
Well, you know, he's a funny horse, and this is a big rider switch to Manny, and I think he is the horse to beat, but he's unreliable. He's got a couple races in his PPs that would just destroy this field. But then he comes back and he just doesn't run very well. I like Arabato. I like the switch in trainers. I picked this race 7-6-1. 7-6-1, I think.
5-1 on Arabato. Mike Maselli barn now.
I'm all about Arabato.
With that 5-year-old, as we go back to Tampa P4, great call, Jonathan Kinchin here. On a horse whose dirt debut, 30-1. Had some issues that day. Tried synthetic a couple of starts, back to dirt and a win.
Slipped inside of the heavy favorite in the turn and just absolutely blew this field away. And a race that was pretty contentious up front, but the favorite a disappointing second here. This horse, nice pick, nice job. And my 10 horse came from the clouds to get third and was rolling by everybody late. These are the kind of tricky horses you have to worry about, though, you know. Was he sort of supposed to run today? Is he just figuring the game out? But Berdoza's one. Maybe take a look next time.
By the way, Artemis Sound back at Aqueduct?
Yeah.
Not claimed. Stays in the Todd Pletcher barn. 2 and 4 were claimed out of that race. P4 the win. Runner-up finish for Over the Mark in the debut for Brad Cox as we move on to race 7. Back on the grass. 1 mile. Starter option or claiming field. 3-year-olds who have started for a claiming price. The conditions of this race, and 6-5 on Flash Frozen right now. Kathleen O'Connell, Antonio Gallardo comes in a perfect 2 for 2.
Well, I mean, that horse is way the horse to beat in this race. Comes off a race where she just easily beat other runners in this race. I don't have any argument against her in here. I was trying to make a little bit of a case for the 8. A little bit of a case for the 8 Ozzy, maybe. I mean, he did have legitimate trouble. I don't know what Morales was doing, sort of ducking in the rail last time. Just not sure he really did any running. This is a favorite that I have no interest in trying to beat, though.
The 9 was interesting.
Okay.
Facing a little bit tougher company.
I don't disagree. We'll see with this rider.
Linda Rice. She's got a Kentucky Derby contender, a New York bred, who just ran the fastest figure of his career, and he remained perfect with a stakes win yesterday. We'll tell you what's next for Sand Devils. Stay with us.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
At the line, War of Will. That's a photo for the win.
Will then and Vince Chemino take the Jimmy Durante.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NyraBets.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as open company 2-year-olds at Nyra tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Race 7 at Tampa coming up shortly. Race 6 in New York. Yesterday, a New York bred who is going to get his first Kentucky Derby prep test coming up in just a few weeks for Linda Rice. The Sand Devil remains perfect for Linda Rice.
Yeah, this is a good horse. And I think, one of the couple of reasons, people are a little disappointed. The horse is that big a favorite, was that impressed first 2 races. You expect him to win by a lot. Well, maybe we should consider the fact the second horse really ran extremely well here. And that horse had credentials to move forward, lightly raced and run well to break the maiden. So I think Sand Devil ran terrific. And, Linda made some comments. And Jose Lezcano, I talked to earlier today, who rode him, he said similar things to me. He said, in retrospect, I probably should have opened up a little more in the backstretch, used the speed a little bit more, because it's a horse that takes a little while to get going, and once they get challenged in the stretch, it turns into that sprint for home, and that might not be to his best advantage. 93 buyer, slow pace, fast final time. This is a good horse. Is he a Derby horse? I guess we'll find out more down the road, but he's very talented.
We'll find out in about 3 weeks more, and that's when they're going to contest the Gotham, which is 50 points to the winner to get into that starting gate for the first Saturday in May. Here's Linda Rice after the victory.
Before we got to the wire, I was a little nervous, but he dug down deep, and he'll probably gain a lot from that. I was a little surprised, but they went pretty slow in the backside in the first part of the race, and it looked like it was just a sprint home. And it looked like he gutted it out. He dug in, and galloping out, he was pretty strong. We haven't been able to be very aggressive in our training. I didn't feel like I could get enough done with him in the morning due to the tough 3 weeks we've had in New York with the winter weather. So I opted out of the Withers and into this race. But, I'm sure he got a lot out of today's race, and that should help us, try and point towards the Gotham.
Well, and you hear that from Linda Rice, and maybe a couple of works short as well makes that seem almost more impressive.
Every trainer says every horse is a work or 2 short. Yeah. But I hear you. And I also think when Linda watched Captain Cook win the Withers last week, she probably thought I probably didn't make a bad choice because that horse ran so well. But listen, I'd love to see this horse go forward. Chester Broman's been such a huge part of the New York bred program. Owned the Dam, mineralogist, a very nice horse. And Maggie had pointed out, we were discussing his pedigree earlier today on the handicapping show. Mineralogist won a couple races at 2 turns. Horse is a pedigree to stretch out. He's okay.
And if you use the Gotham to get to the Derby, which is what they're going to try and do, you only got to win a mile race. If you win that, you're in. Basically.
Right. Is she really going to go in the Gotham and then go to the Derby from there? I guess that's a call. I don't know. I'm just old. I remember when horses actually ran before the Kentucky Derby, and now one of the handicapping Kentucky Derby is impossible every year, but one thing that makes it so much tougher is we just don't know who a lot of these horses are. They're so lightly raced.
Yeah. Times have changed. But, we heard from Linda Rice the other day saying, especially these owners, they want to get there and just have the experience
Kentucky
of it.
Derby or bust.
Yeah. Race 6 coming up here at Aqueduct. Condition $16,000 claiming race as we get a look at Thank You, John. 2-win day Manny Franco. He'll try and get number 3 on board this current 9-5 favorite. Let's go to JK.
All I can think about is Andy saying he's old. And then I thought to myself, I don't really know how old Andy really is. So at home. I'm sure you're thinking about it as well. I'm going to go with the 1. I See You Looking Here. This horse that if you look at his back numbers, he's got numbers that definitely put him in the position here to run well. And if you look at the last race, beaten 38 lengths, 8th, I mean, he's basically eased in that race. It can make you wonder a little bit. But I think if you look a little deeper, you'll notice that he broke poorly in that race. He probably doesn't want 9 furlongs. And maybe just this cutback is going to help to the 7 furlongs to kind of get back to some of those numbers that we saw from him in November, October, and even September. And so I'm very hopeful that we'll get that with the 1 here at 7-2. And who knows, maybe the 1's a lucky number today. I'm going to take down at Tampa. I'm going to go with the 1 as well. Emmett. I think Jose D'Angelo does a fantastic job. When I see his name in the trainer spot, I give an extra look here. But one thing I will say is that a horse like this, who has shown some tactical speed, drawn on the inside on the turf, I've always felt comfort in those spots because they can hold their position, save ground, get out of spots when they need to. This horse is adding blinkers, so you'd think there maybe be even a little bit more focus, a little bit more speed there with Emmett. So I'm going to go with the 1, trying to look for this is not intentional, just so happens to be that we had the 1 P4, we got the 1 at Aqueduct, and we'll go right back with the 1 here again at Tampa race 7.
Look, that was a really good call at Tampa in that last race by JK. We'll see if he can keep things going here. This the 1 to beat, though, right now, the 6. Thank you, John, in the Wayne Potts barn now.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat. I don't think there's any argument against it. The problem is he's just unreliable. We'll see if Wayne can do a better job with him. Jesus Romero doesn't have many horses, and I feel like he does a good job with the few he has. We'll see if Wayne moves him forward. I like Arabetto. I love the trainer switch to Mike Maselli on a horse who at the times has run well in the past, and I'm going to hope he gets his best effort out of him, so I'm going to bet on the 7. Arabetto.
Meanwhile, 10-1 on this one outside because the Knight. Quick comeback here on a horse that just ran back on February 1st and really didn't do a lot of running that day.
Just looks a little slow.
I See You Looking kicks off the post parade here with Christopher Elliott.
I like the turn back in distance for him. Now, it's a trainer that hasn't had much success turning back in New York. He's 1 for 10, but it's a pretty small sample size. He's got a couple races that make him okay.
5-1 next door. There's Badlands Ruler.
Why is this horse 5-1 and not 25-1 here? He's cutting back, but he doesn't look even remotely competitive.
The sprints have not been very good. My Cool Hand Luke, 2 for 12 lifetime.
It's a great movie, and he does have a decent effort, 2 back at Finger Lakes, but up his last, he's a little tough to take.
There is Collect from Ike. Carol Cedeno rides.
Maybe I should throw $5, I'm going to say, on Insanity Insurance. He was so bad last time, and I picked him and bet him last time. Why is he 5-1?
Thank you, John. Here's the now 8-5 favorite with Manny Franco.
I got to think we're going to see some changes, and one thing that may be this horse drops down in price.
Arabetto, who you like on the trainer switch?
Yeah, no, I think he's very interesting in the trainer switch, and he's got back races that can make it done.
And again, the quick return outside because the Knight's going to need a lot better than what he's shown the last 3 starts.
I agree. He's a little tough to make.
So 3 minutes away from this 6th. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
I like number 1 in here. That is I See You Looking, who I think just comes back to reality here. And once again, like when he won the non-2 for 16, he just fits really well with the rest of the field here. Physically looks fantastic. Now, I'm a little concerned because of his lack of pace as he does turn back from the 1 1/8, which I do like. But again, sometimes a little bit of a sharp turn back to the 7 furlongs from 9. But I really like what I'm seeing from him, and completely compromised when he stumbled badly at the start. I have no problems with your 8-5 favorite. Thank you, John. He looks tremendous, and he has early speed, which makes him doubly dangerous. But a horse that is taking some money that I had to look down and say, why is number 5 Collect from Ike taking money? Well, I think it's because he loves a wet track, and his wet track performances are by far the best that you see there on the form. And he always looks good. I mean, John Pregman's horses are typically really well turned out. They just don't often find themselves in attainable spots or find themselves competitive in those spots, I should say. But you can't ignore the fact that this is a horse that does appreciate some moisture in the ground. And then we'll move on to number 7, Arabato. First off, the claim from Mike Maselli. Now, I really like the turn back in distance. I think 7 furlongs is much better for him than 9. He just doesn't look good overall. A really long, dry, dull coat on him. Those front wraps do go back on for this performance. So I'll take the wait and see approach with him. I just wish he looked a bit better for me to fully endorse him. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. Meanwhile, 5-1 on Andy's selection.
Well, I don't love that Maggie doesn't love how he looks, but I'm in anyway. And Maggie is a good point Maggie made about the 5, that horse is going to drift up. Both the 2 and 5 are going to probably be closer to 10-1 by post time. The one thing I'd say I collect from Mike, that big figure win in the slop, that was a huge, huge speed track on May 27th. But listen, even his 4th place finish is one of his better figs in the muddy seal track off the turf. I liked him last time. I'd give up.
6-5 though, on that's getting a little short on Thank You, John. He's the horse to beat, but
well,
that price.
Is he a better bet at 6-5 than the 2 or 5 at 7-1? See, I think he is. The problem is, on paper, it's a relatively uncompetitive race. The 1, the 6, and the 7 are the 3 horses in here. So when you look at it that way, no, he's not an underlay at 7-5 because he is more likely to win than both the 1 and 7, at least to me. I just find him unreliable. I like the rider switch to Manny Franco, and I've just had enough of him, but I do think he's much the horse to beat, and I don't think the others are major contenders.
Right-hand side of your screen, Tampa. Mile on the turf coming up in this 7th, as we're going to get a look here in a moment at the big favorite, 6-5, and there he is, Flash Frozen, who comes in undefeated, Kathleen O'Connell. Easy winner last start.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to be against this horse. This horse is in good form and ran well. I mean, did get a very good trip last time, but is the horse to beat? I don't think Jonathan's way off with the 1 being the other logical horse in the race. I'm well, that's good for people that took 6-1.
Yeah, just been told the 2 has been scratched here at Aqueduct, Badlands Ruler. So late scratch, 2 comes out here in New York as you look at Katie Davis holding the saddle there.
I would say that 8 they're showing at Tampa is my goofy long shot there. Not long shot, 6-1.
I thought, yeah, and the 9, interesting too, I thought a little bit. 5-1.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in that
outside.
rider.
Been in stakes company.
Yeah. No, I didn't think the horse was utterly impossible in here. I thought would be forwardly placed, but probably has to deal with the 2. Not impossible. Lost to, I think the high beta the horse would beat last time is a Chabran Klarovich horse that broke its maiden here after losing at the Meadowlands. I don't know how good that horse is. Okay, maybe.
So the starting gate crew, they got the 2 off the starting gate already. So I see you look in the 1, and then my cool hand Luke the 4 is going to be in post 2. Heeman Harkey, Paul Barrow, who becomes a little bit interesting at that price here with the race he has to back at Finger Lakes at 9-1.
Yeah, I can't see that horse. The problem with that is it's the only number he's ever run that makes him close. These other numbers to me are too slow, and then he comes here and he's just atrocious, dropping down or not. Not for me. Paul Barrow did win a race here the other day. He's a good trainer, but he doesn't win here too often, to be honest.
There is Manny Franco, Wayne Potsbarn with the big favorite, even money now. Thank you, John. This 5-year-old, Manny looking for a 3-win Sunday afternoon. The one you like, Arabato next door, 4-1. Moving to the Mike Maselli barn. Yeah, by the way, back at Tampa, Flash Frozen now odds on 4-5.
No surprise. 2 for 2. Easily beat these last time. It's just, I don't know if there's someone to be creative in the race at Tampa. If there is, I really didn't see it, though. I thought the 8 was a little interesting.
So this 6th about to load here. And there's the favorite stepping in who, I guess Manny has the option to beat. He should be in front here, shouldn't he?
I would think the 6 is going to be in front here, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah, he should be a clear speed here. He's fast, this horse. I'm not. I just think he's way the horse to beat, but I'm trying to beat him. We'll see.
Chris Griffin, the call. Here's the 6 from Aqueduct.
All set. They're off. Good speed towards the outside from Thank You John. Arabato's in the early mix, and Because the Night out wider in third. At the rail, there's I See You Lookin', is moving forward, is taken fourth. Tightly bunched here as they work up the backstretch, and second to last. Collect from Ike with the trailer. My Cool Hand Luke. They're chasing Thank You John, who now gets clear, and Thank You John up by a length and a half, almost two. I See You Lookin' moves through at the rail, is ready to challenge in a very tight spot there, 23.33 for the opening quarter mile, just steadying right in behind the leader. Thank You John, I See You Lookin', now moving out towards the two path. 3 wide is going to be Arabato, Because the Night is in fourth, is 4 wide. Behind them is Collect from Ike, and losing touch so far, My Cool Hand Luke is trying to rally on from the back as they're well into the far turn. Thank You John is just cruising along, doing it easily so far, and Thank You John is still up by that full length. I See You Lookin' is off the rail, is in full pursuit. The rate 46 and 4 half-mile time. Thank You John is approaching a quarter mile left to go. Matty Franco has barely moved, and they hug the rail and kick for home. Now I See You Lookin' is set down, is trying to chase this leader. Thank You John is trying to hold off the rally from I See You Lookin'. In the clear is Collect from Ike, and Collect from Ike is building some momentum in the center of the racetrack. Thank You John has dispatched of I See You Lookin', but can Collect from Ike get there? Thank You John approaching a final 16th. Collect from Ike is making up mild ground to the outside. Thank You John wins it. Thank You John wins it over Collect from Ike. I See You Lookin' holds off My Cool Hand Luke for third. A 1 minute 26 seconds flat.
Thank You John. Third career victory, 3-win day, Manny Franco, and actually floated up a touch to 6-5. Prices coming up from that one in a moment. Back to Tampa Bay, mile on the turf in this race coming up, and there's the 9. Flaming Proposition, whose price is now 6-1. This horse, last couple of starts, tried to do it on the front end and backed up.
I got to think this horse is probably going to be stalking the number 2. We'll see what kind of trip works out. Like I said, I'm not trying to beat the favorite, but the 8 Aussie would be my little 4-8 or something.
There's the Naira Bets Fast Fact. Trainer Derek Ryan winning at 50%, limited starters since the beginning of last year, with 1 to 7 days rest after the last start. With more on that barn, let's go to Acacia.
Yeah, it was a big morning for trainer Derek Ryan, as he did have his multiple grade 1 winner, Bookham Dano, working his third work back this morning at Tampa Bay Downs when he went 4 furlongs in 48 flat. And catching up with Derek, he said everything's on the table, but he did say you'll see him in Saratoga, which will be great for us. He also mentioned potentially trying the turf in the future with this horse as well. Now, he is a son of Bucaro, and he's a gelding, so it does kind of open up the possibilities for his trainer and for his connections, and allowing them to kind of try out whatever they see. But a lot to look forward to with the 2025 season for Bookham Dano, who was, I think, one that just captured a lot of our hearts and really, really fun to watch. So having his work this morning at Tampa Bay Downs, he's been on his Sunday work schedule, training here for Derek, where he's based in the winter. And so looking forward to what the future might hold for Grade 1 winner Bookham Dano. Taking a look at the other contenders in this race, though, the unbeaten number 4 Flash Frozen, the favorite for Kathleen O'Connell, and rightfully so, has done nothing wrong as of yet, is the heavy favorite at the moment, and has certainly shown a little bit of versatility in the 2 races so far as well. Perked Up on track, got much, much sharper out there as well. He's certainly fine. Showed that he could still run after breaking half a step slow last time. Hopefully can get out of the gate a bit better today, and I have no problems with what he's done on the track thus far. Physically, the horse that looked best, though, was the one Emmett, who we did see finish second behind Flash Frozen last time out, and it was a race with the blinkers off. They go right back on today. He was 3 wide and then kind of got pushed very wide onto the first turn. I've noticed here at Tampa that a lot of horses and riders maybe struggle a bit on that first turn, and you see a lot of them kind of floating off a bit, and that was happening to Emmett as he was pushed wide early on. But I thought he was very game for second. The short cup, I should say 3/4 cup blinkers go back on right away for him. We'll see if he can turn the tables on Flash Frozen. I'm with Andy, though. I thought the 8 Aussie, also out of that race, was very intriguing. Did have legitimate trouble in there, and I think runs better when he can be forwardly placed. I haven't seen him since the fall when he was in New York, and he's a horse that has really filled into his frame quite a bit, strengthened up a lot. He's a generous price right now. Greg?
Thank you for that, Acacia. And Pride of New Jersey, such a fun horse. Bookham Dano, be fun to see him back.
You know, it's interesting about the turf because he had been entered in the turf in the futurity here. Now it was rained off, and he ran very well to win that day. But she's right, you know, he's a Bucharo, and he's a gelding. Maybe this horse is going to be a pretty good turf sprinter. I don't see any reason not to give him a shot to try for a race like that, but it's a very good horse who, in my opinion, has had unlucky trips in recent races, and I think he could be sitting on a very good 4-year-old year.
Meanwhile, here the 4 Flash Frozen, trying to remain perfect, make his record 3 for 3 for Kathleen O'Connell. Let's go to Jason Beam.
Ozzie coming up. Flaming Proposition and Melissa Iorio to the outside draw. Just about set for a start here is Cinetic acting up in gate 2. Flaming Proposition still a ways behind the gate. Now Flaming Proposition coming forward. And goes in. They are in the gate. And the race is on. Flash Frozen, the favorite, came away at the back. Cinetic came away well in the White House colors, up from the outside Flaming Proposition. Between them, Sammy Zagavine, those three across the course with 1 lap to go. It's going to be Cinetic cutting the corner just in front. 3/4 of a length to Sammy Zagavine in second. Flaming Proposition on the outside is third as they run into that first turn. Then comes Emmett fourth, tucked into the inside. Ozzie's right there between horses in a bit of a tight spot in the blue colors. Ozzie just had to tap on the brakes. Flash Frozen moves to that one's outside from sixth. And McCoy is the early trailer as they have 5.5 furlongs to go and Cinetic to catch. Cinetic 23 seconds for that opening quarter mile. Leads him down the backstretch with 5/8 left, his 2-length lead. Front of Sammy Zagavine in second. Emmett third. Back a spot, Flaming Proposition is fourth. Then we come back to Flash Frozen, who's up on the outside of Ozzie. They're 5th and 6th. Makoa continues to trail in the orange colors, about 8 lengths off the lead with 3.5 furlongs to go. Cinetic got that opening half mile in 48 1/5 seconds. They start their run to the far turn. Cinetic a length and a tail to the good of long shot Sammy Zagavine. Down to the inside comes Emmett, who's moving through from third. Outside of that Flaming Proposition. Then comes Ozzie. Flash Frozen starting to uncoil. Going to move out 3 deep in the yellow colors. And here's Flash Frozen, the favorite, trying to go by rivals, is covering ground, but is catapulting past them as they come to the top of the stretch. Cinetic on the inside, Flash Frozen on the outside. Emmett right between them, those three in a line. As they come into the stretch, it's Flash Frozen and Emmett, the two that go on. Those two by the 8th pull. Emmett's down on the inside, Flash Frozen on the outside. They've pulled 4.5 clear of Ozzie, who's trying to run up to third, but the battle's between the top two. Emmett on the inside and Flash Frozen. Emmett, Flash Frozen, they drive to the wire, photo finish. Flash Frozen on the outside might have had a nostril in front. It was very close there with Emmett, and it was another zip code back to the rest.
Flash Frozen last early. I'm not sure. May have got it in the final jump, but Emmett fights him tooth and nail to the wire.
Yeah, no, this was quite a battle down the stretch between these two horses. And Emmett kind of hung in very, very gamely. Let's see what happens down the wire. Right now, the one's got it. I agree. Looks like they was ground out by the number 4. Tough beat if you had the 1. Not that the 8 was going to win, and I think the 8 finished third, and was going to finish third regardless. You would think a rider that got himself into a jackpot by jamming a horse in the rail last time would look to avoid that the next time. He didn't. He got jammed up again.
Flash Frozen, maybe just barely in that final jump. It took him a while to get there if he did, but still nothing up yet.
Nice stretch duel between these two.
Really
it's always
and
painful.
Again, it was a long way back to third.
It's always especially painful when you bet the horse like the one who's the second choice at 5-2, and you feel like you've got the 4-5, the heavy favorite beaten the whole way, and the last jump they nail you.
And it is Flash Frozen. It's been posted as your unofficial winner. 4-1, 8-5 in a thriller down the stretch here at Tampa Bay. Flash Frozen remains perfect, barely. Now 3 for 3. Back on our Sunday coverage. Here on Fox Sports 2, you're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We'll get back to it in a minute, but there's an objection on your winner at Tampa.
Yeah, the rider of the 9 who probably should be claiming foul against herself in this race is claimed against the winner for coming over on the turn. If this horse comes down as a result of that, and you bet this horse, I don't care what price you were, you have a right to be extremely angry because this seems ridiculous to me.
Meanwhile, here at New York, thank you, John. 3-win Sunday and counting, Manny Franco. First off, the claim win for Wayne Potts.
Yeah, Manny the right thing. He went to lead. He was aggressive. The one made a challenge in the turn, could not finish. And as Maggie pointed out, collect for Mike. He likes it wet, and he ran today. He showed up, but not able to get it done. Thank you, John. The horse to beat, the favorite, he won. With Manny Franco's having one heck of a week.
Yeah, he is. $4.40 for the victory. Third career win for this 5-year-old.
I know something funny about the Tampa race.
No change, by the way.
I believe on the tote board they had it listed 136 flat, and they went 135.99. Are they rounding? I like the round.
You're supposed to round down.
I would round up. I'm with if they're rounding. I would round to the nearest one.
But in this sport,
I know we do. But
I'm with you though.
That looks like 136 to me.
7th race.
They had 100 for the inquiry.
Maybe. 6.5 furlongs in this New York bred allowance optional claiming field. 8-5, Sue Ellen Mishkin, Kendrick Carmouche, Linda Rice team up again on a 6-year-old mare, who is 10 for 24 lifetime.
Well, Seinfeld fans are excited for Sue Ellen Mishkin. She was way over her head trying to go a mile last time out. She is the horse to beat and the horse to catch up front as well.
Photo finish, Denon objection, flash frozen, survives both.
Yes. Well, the inquiry was less of a concern than the one horse who splits horses there. Another ride by Marin. Well, he's really riding well. I'm impressed by what I've seen. Is it possible he's the best rider at Tampa? Might be. He's had a couple of good rides today.
Looked like he was going to get this one. Yeah. Well, wow, Flat Frozen really had to grind to get by Emmett for that win. Does so at 4-5. Tough way to get back 4-5. $3.60 for the win. But credit this horse and the job Kathleen O'Connell has done. Now 3 for 3. Never easy to remain undefeated, especially in turf racing. And the way this horse does it, coming from so far back. Race 8. 6.5 furlong sprint on the main track, allowance optional claiming field. 4-year-olds and up, and Laser Sharp comes off a win. It was at Aqueduct back in November. We've not seen him since for John Terranova, but a pretty good horse who is 2 for 4 with 2 runner-ups on the dirt on fast tracks.
I just think it's a situation in this 8th race at Tampa where if you want to take a shot against Laser Sharp, and it's not really much of a layoff, then go ahead. But I mean, he's just way the horse to beat when you look at them. I thought the 8, San Constantino, was a little bit interesting in here off a bit of a trip last time out.
I think the 10's interesting as well.
Not impossible. Yes, I agree. And also a private purchase, but to a trainer that wins a low percentage. That worried me.
Sue Ellen Mishkin, the one to beat. Linda Rice, Kendrick Carmouche will team up on this 9-5 favorite, looking for her 11th career victory and 4th here at Aqueduct when we come back.
Here comes that big gray Tappet Trice right down the outside.
Tappet Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass. Tappet Trice's 2024 debut was awesome.
Tappet Trice is lunging. Tappet Trice wins the Woodward.
It's America's original sport. And no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
to clear off in the Naira Benz Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The two Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. There is the 8-5 favorite now still on Michigan, Win Machine. Although the last 4 starts has come up empty. Big
Well,
drop, though.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a logical drop.
Let's look back to January 10th. This was 2 starts ago.
I thought she ran well enough in this race to win. She is a horse that's had a amazing career record with the 10 for 24 and 17 in the money. But she also has been somewhat opportunistic. But that's what happens when you're a speed horse. Speed horses, more often than not, make their trips for themselves. And she's caught some tracks that were kind of speed. But I think she's run well in those starts. She had no chance last time out. Like Linda Rice wasn't going to leave her in. She had actually told Dave Brenning of the DRF she was going to leave in the other half of the entry just music. And I think what happened was the day before was a huge speed track. And I think Linda thought, you know what, maybe speed will be good again today and I'll run the horse again. Well, it didn't work out. She wasn't going to beat that field, but she fits in here.
And so for Seinfeld fans, Sue Ellen Michigan was the heiress to the O. Henry candy bar fortune, right?
Right, yes, the famous. This was Travis Stone's favorite horse.
Okay.
He loved this horse because he's the announcer. He loves Seinfeld.
Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, and she is spectacular. No, I'm kidding. Actually, her race record is quite spectacular. It's not easy to win, close to half of your career starts like Sue Ellen Michigan has, and she is very formidable in this spot. But taking a look at some others and possibly a horse that could challenge her on the front end, at least early, is a double-digit odds runner in number 6, Amazing Dottie, who comes off of a poor performance, albeit on a wet track, so she's getting back to a wet one yet again. My Bronx Baby actually securing the lead from her more towards the outside as the favorite that day. We saw Sue Ellen Michigan, but Amazing Dottie was down on the rail for the most part, and I'm wondering if she just didn't feel that comfortable there. Now she comes back, and maybe something went wrong too, as she comes back off a bit of a layoff here, and she looks incredibly fit. I've always liked her, at least physically, because she is a beautifully put together. Coat's a little bit on the longer side, but I'm not too concerned about that. I just thought she was a little bit interesting now drawing outside of at least one of her other main speed rivals. Next, we'll check in with my girl Maggie's Palace. I always loved her dam, Sister Margaret. And Maggie's Palace last time out, I thought she was maybe slightly against the racetrack. My Magic Wand running really well that day, and a day you wanted to be more towards the inside where she was out wide throughout. And she's just a horse that has been in relatively good form throughout the latter half of last year and into this one for Jimmy Ryerson. I like what I'm seeing from her yet again. She's impressed me every time I've seen her as of late. Great coat to her. I mean, she's covering dapples, and that's not usually the case for the beginning of February for these horses, and it's just turned into more of an athlete in her physical frame. So again, I think she is one that if things do heat up, Greg, maybe she can make an impact late.
Yeah, we'll find out. 7-2 right now, Maggie's Palace. Thank you, Maggie. 8-5 though. Sue Ellen Michigan, just way tougher company last time out. And the other race we showed you back on January 10th, if she can run that, is everyone else probably in trouble here?
Yeah, it's my general feeling. I mean, I think Maggie's Palace, I know Maggie likes, but not because of the name. But I picked that horse second. I think that she's absolutely a threat. And I guess snapping buttons on the outside a little interesting if she can get back to her good form.
Lane Luzzy kicks off the post parade with Foxy Cara, big price from the inside.
Yeah, she just doesn't. She's just a consistent, but consistently a little slow, and she also needs a pace to fall apart.
Clover Street, Romero Mirage for Mark Hennig.
I picked her third in this race. I thought her last race was actually okay, and maybe a cutback for her will help.
Carlos Martin Barn, True Empress. He has Ruben Silvera.
I don't know what to do with her off her last race. Her last race was bad, and I just can't take her off that race. Prior races are good.
Finger Lakes form prior to that, but then struggled last start. Here's the favorite, 8-5.
Well, we've talked about her merits. She's going to the front and try to take it from there.
Nolita comes off the second win of her career for Belmont.
She was lucky to win last time when Ariana Rye, who ran second yesterday, got in trouble. Having said that, at least she finally ran a good race after a string of bad races.
Amazing Doty at 12-1. Can Manny Franco get number 4?
She has an amazing career record, 9 for 23. She and Sue Ellen Michigan are very similar. Another speed horse, but she's not as fast as Sue Ellen Michigan early, so I think it hurts her chances.
Here's Maggie's Palace, down to 3-1 right now with Eric Cancel.
I agree. You know, she's the closer along with the speed of Sue Ellen Michigan. I think they are the right two here.
And Snappin' Buttons come to life performance last out.
You got Sue Ellen Michigan and Snappin' Buttons. What if they get in a stretch duel? She was good last time out, but I thought speed was pretty good the 24th of January. That may have helped her along, but she does have some good figs in the go back. So it's not as though it's impossible that she's improving for a trainer who's been getting good results from his horses.
And yeah, she added blinkers for that start too, and that resulted in just a big move forward for her, 6-1 from the outside. As we go to JK.
Yeah, I thought this was a tough race. When I took a look at the pick 6, this is the race I felt in which we would want the most coverage. So this is not a strong selection. It just happens to be the one that I'm giving up. I think that you'd want to have 5 or 6 horses in here to feel confident moving forward. The 7 Maggie's Place is the one that kind of is the one who took my final vote. As a horse that when they're going 6.5. It's a thing that I looked at. I studied 6.5 and 6 and 7. And 6.5 it plays a little bit more towards closers, and I don't know exactly why. And it's not jarring numbers, but I do think that sometimes horses can get a little lost and riders can get a little lost as they're going 6. The paces can kind of hook up a little bit, and you can get a horse to come from out of it. Maggie's Palace definitely has to run just a taste a bit faster, but if the pace can materialize in front of her, I do think she could come picking up the pieces. But like I said, there's not too many horses in here that I would try to talk you off of. And as far as Tampa, race 8, I'm going to stick on this one train, non-intentionally. I'm giving you a 1-5 shot, so I don't think it has anything to do with the number of the horse. But this horse is just better than these horses in here. Drawn towards the inside, has a little bit of speed. It's going to need to get away from there. I don't necessarily want to see this 1-5 shot get shuffled back, eat a bunch of dirt, have to circle horses and win. Probably good enough to do that, but I don't necessarily want to see that. And so it's a short price, but you can spend that money too.
Yeah, laser sharp 2-5 right now at Tampa.
Yeah, it's the horse to beat by a lot. I mean, I think, the concern is obviously the inside, not a lot of speed, but the way Marin's been riding, I wouldn't worry about it. You and I both talked about the 8 and 10 as possible alternatives. I don't disagree. I don't love the fact that the 10 is a trainer change to a trainer doesn't seem to win. But I thought San Constantino was very interesting in this race, and I might bet a few dollars on that horse and bet a 1-8.
All right, we'll go back to that in a moment. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll check in with a horse that I wouldn't generally recommend in these second-level New York bred allowance races, but one that just broke through the first level in number 5, Nolita, who, let's face it, if you go back when she began her career, she actually showed a lot of promise, but maybe it was just a factor of coming off of that near-year layoff back in August that she just needed to put it all together. Now, having come off the back of that win, she does look so much stronger. For whatever reason, it just looks as though maybe she's trending in the right direction finally and getting back to the promise that she showed, though, again, always facing tougher in these types of spots. Same with number 8, Snappin' Buttons, who I haven't seen her in a while. I haven't been in the paddock. She's grown a lot now as she's turned 4. Really fit, really strong for Antonio Arriaga. I wouldn't discredit either of these horses stepping up. Greg?
All right, here we go. Loading up 7th at 6.5 furlongs. Sue Ellen, Michigan, trying to pick up her 11th career win in 25 starts. There she is, Kendra Carmouche, and she is quick early. Can she establish command from the get-go? Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Buttons to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Sue Ellen, Michigan, from in between horses, has the early speed. Amazing Doty to her outside. Also tracking off of them is Snappin' Buttons as they're well off the rail. And these three up the backstretch. Just off of the pace now as Maggie's Palace is back to fourth. About to be challenged and passed by Nolita towards the inside, who's now taking that fourth position away, and that's going to move Maggie's Palace back to fifth at the rail. Clover Street is now in the sixth position as they continue to work up the backstretch. The two at the back, that's True Empress with Foxy Kara. Less than 4 furlongs to travel, and Sue Ellen, Michigan with a neck in front. Amazing Doty is right there in between horses, loses a touch of ground as Snappin' Buttons has some forward momentum. Nolita's right in behind this battling trio, 22-4. For that opening quarter mile, getting the jump, though, is Maggie's Palace, and a quick move here. Maggie's Palace is launching towards the outside. Sue Ellen, Michigan has dropped back quickly, Snappin' Buttons, but that big move from Maggie's Palace, and Maggie's Palace is in the center of the racetrack, well off the rail, but has the lead and tries to sprint clear. Maggie's Palace made that big move on the turn. Snappin' Buttons is back to second, but they are charging from the back. Here comes True Empress, is bringing Clover Street. Maggie's Palace only has a furlong left to get. Trying to move in closer is Clover Street. Clover Street is inching closer. Maggie's Palace is in front. Can Clover Street get there? Is running out of real estate. Maggie's Palace gets the victory over Clover Street, Nolita, and True Empress in 1 minute 18.54 seconds.
Eye-grabbing move by Maggie's Palace to establish the front and able to hold off a mild charge from the two Clover Street late.
Started to wonder if maybe it was a little bit too early, this move, as she got a little bit late, but Clover Street couldn't catch her. Maggie's Palace was the obvious other horse going down to 2-1 in this race if you wanted to beat Sue Ellen, Michigan. Sue Ellen, Michigan was not good in the air. She took a little pressure, but she honestly had absolutely nothing, as Maggie's Palace was just much the best.
7-2-5 finish. Eric Cancel for Jimmy Ryerson. And Maggie's Palace wins for the third time in her career as the 2-1 second choice here. Yeah, Sue Ellen, Michigan does not finish among your top 4.
Linda will be okay with losing her. She got claimed, apparently.
Maggie's Palace loving this track this afternoon. So 2-1 mild upset as we go back to Tampa, 3 minutes away. 6.5 furlongs coming up in this race. Here's Laser Sharp, the huge 1-2 favorite right now for John Terranova.
I mean, the horse ran a race last time out that's just too good probably for these horses to compete with. John's a terrific trainer. She's the one to beat.
Machismo.
He is.
Daniel Centeno rides.
He is way too slow.
Guayo comes off a win last time out against Easier, but got DQ'd.
Yeah, well, anything's possible with Elijah Greenidge riding.
And it was a slowish figure, too. This is a lot tougher company here. Crocodile Hunter has, I thought that last race showed some life.
I agree. Did improve last time out. Big improvement for this horse.
Snow Name at 14-1 next door for Kevin Rice. Off claim.
Interesting claim for Kevin Rice. Doesn't claim a lot. That's the one thing this horse has going for him.
Back-to-back wins off, 2.5 years away for Cajun Gem.
As Michael Yates looks for another winner, winning that maiden race earlier today. He's got to get faster, but he's in good form.
Next door, 20-1 shot. This is Big Louie, Stephen Dye.
Just too slow on paper.
Here's the 8 San Constantino 2-back. That was a race that would put him in the mix.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the public. This might be the second likeliest winner in here. I thought he was the one that had a chance against the one.
Paralegals won 2 in a row.
Yeah, but against slower company.
Here's Osprey out of Mar Santos. Some really big efforts, too, at Parks and at Monmouth.
And a private purchase out of the last race. This is not a trainer winning a lot of races, but the last race was good enough to absolutely give this horse a chance.
And Divine Leader, third off a short layoff.
Has not won a race since May 12th of 2023. But, you look at the races at Tampa, they were against much better horses. And this horse has some pretty good figures in the prior races. Actually, this horse, to me, is kind of interesting if you're looking for an alternative.
Well, they all got to try and beat this one right here. Laser Sharp was off from May until November, and the layoff was not a problem at all.
No, I mean, this horse runs that last race. I mean, the one thing you have to concern yourself, I'm not as always overly caught up in drawing the rail, but this horse doesn't have any speed. Now, they're supposed to get away from him. There are some sufficient speed, so if they end up sort of spraying the field out, it shouldn't be a problem for Marin to get this horse out in the clear. And if that's the case, and he runs this race, he's going to win. The other races earlier in his career, but as a 3-year-old, were okay. Not necessarily that much better than these. And for a super short price, I don't think he's that big a layover. But his last race was good.
And now being asked to reproduce something like that, having not raced since November 24th. Let's go to Acacia for more.
Yeah, and he looks fit off the layoff. Admittedly, for whatever reason, just with timing, I've never been in the paddock for one of Laser Sharp's races, though he has run in New York quite a bit. But looking at him here, I have no problems with him off the bench. And as you mentioned, looking at his previous form, he's shown that he can run well fresh before. And if you cross out that turf track, which is really kind of the only disappointing effort of his career, he's been remarkably consistent. And he was a bit wide last time out. Made that big move to open up and just held off a closer late back in November. It just looks best in this field versus what he's facing. Really healthy in his coat and weight for John Terranova. A relatively quiet warm-up, but I do think he's very much the horse to beat. Now, the number 8, San Constantino, who Andy was talking about, this is a horse who last time out never really looked comfortable to me between horses. Did have some legitimate trouble 2 starts back as well when not getting any room, and I wonder if he's the type of horse that just really kind of struggles a little bit when being in tight and not being able to make his best move. And prior to that, he was running against some decent company as well, even out of town too. So I agree, he's very interesting. I didn't love him when he first walked back in the paddock, but once they put the tack on, he's one of those horses that just really kind of puffed himself up and grew a bit out on the track and certainly looked much better out there. The 10 Osprey, yes, I agree. It's you wonder, is he going to be able to take a step forward in the new connections, but face Life is Precious, who was beaten just a neck behind Natella and Stakes Company yesterday as well. So behind a very good horse, and a horse that's in very good form right now, and another one with a wide trip and second best in there, a horse that they saddled him outside away from the rest of the field, and he really got on his toes, not doing anything naughty, but certainly a sharp acting horse, which I appreciate in my sprinters, that intensity and acting like he should be quick. Finally, the 6 Cajun Gem. Yes, he's been running against far lesser company and is stepping up in here, but he kind of acts like an old soul. He is a 5-year-old that's just making start number 4, which is a bit tough, but he's a big, heavy type of horse, and I have to give a lot of credit to Michael Yates for having him fit enough in those last couple of races to win. This will be the real test to see what he's made of, but he is quick early on, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. 3-5. Laser Sharp, that's actually floated up a little bit. He was as low as 1-2. Trying to win off the bench here for John Terranova.
It's too short a price. It's a big field. A lot can happen in here. Well, no, he's the horse to beat, but that's a little excessive.
We talked about the 4, the 8, the 10, all ones that are a little interesting. You thought the 11?
The 8 and 11 are my alternatives. No, I'm not against the 1. I'm just saying I think he's a little overbet. That's all.
And maybe not good enough, but Cajun Gem, the 6, just a cool story. 2.5 years away after losing the debut, and comes back and has won back-to-back starts. Easy competition. It's going to be a lot tougher test today, no question. We'll see if he can keep it going for Michael Yates. 3-5 favorite, Laser Sharp. Samuel Marin trying to get his 3rd on the card for John Terranova here. Let's go to Jason Beam.
Lots of big prices in here. There's a lot of the money going to the number 1 Laser Sharp. Samuel Marin looking for his 4th on the card. Waiting for Snow Name, and Divine Leader will be all set for his start. Today's 8th race. Late daily double time on a Sunday. Divine Leader, Antonio Gallardo to the outside draw coming up. And going in. They're in the gate. And a couple of them acting up there, settling down. And the race is on. Bit of a tardy start there for Laser Sharp. Came away just a tad slow. Snow Name in the center and Crocodile Hunter, those two showing the best early speed. Cajun Gem was out in good order in the red colors, is in third, only a length and a half off the top. It's two more then. Back to Big Louie, who was away in fourth. Machismo's fifth. The favorite, Laser Sharp, trying to rebound after that tardy beginning, is up to sixth. Out wide, Divine Leader seventh. The Gray San Constantino in and amongst horses is eighth and about 6.5, 7 off the lead. Two more back to Guayo. Osprey with one beat. And that's the trailer Paralegals. They got that opening quarter 22-1. Cajun Gem out three wide. Crocodile Hunter to the inside. Snow Name right between them. Those three go into the far turn. Now 2 lengths ahead as up on the outside trying to move is Big Louie. Laser Sharp's in between runners. San Constantino looking for a rails run. The gray is only 3.5 off the top. Cajun Gem is the leader as they come to the top of the stretch. Crocodile Hunter, Laser Sharp between horses. Big Louie running a good one at a price on the outside. Cajun Gem and Marcos Meneses turn for home in front. It's Cajun Gem. Laser Sharp in between, going to go down toward the inside now. Crocodile Hunter, San Constantino trying to gain ground with Big Louie. But inside the final furlong, it's Cajun Gem still there. Cajun Gem the lead out to 2.5. Laser Sharp second toward the inside, trying to make up 2 in the final 50 yards. It's Cajun Gem. Cajun Gem, that's 3 in a row since that long layoff. Cajun Gem remains razor sharp. Laser Sharp was second. It was about 3 more back to San Constantino and Big Louie.
So almost 2.5 years away, and now Cajun Gem has reeled off 3 straight since coming back.
Wow. $16,000 maiden claimer, wins in $25 at 2, and now finds an optional allowance to win. Congrats to them. This horse got good. This horse ran very well today. No excuse for the one that really, a relevant excuse. He never had speed. 6.18. This horse, I'm surprised, but this horse just keeps improving.
Yeah, favorite.
Weird to see.
A lot further back than normal.
Yeah. Well, he's not doesn't have much speed. But you know, it doesn't matter. He got there. The pace was honest. They were moving. They were moving up front. They went 48 and 4 to the half. Well, what you want? It was second best.
1:16.55 final time. The track record's 1:15 and 2. Pretty good time. Cajun Gem, totally different horse since he has come back after losing his debut a couple of years ago. He's now reeled off 3 in a row. And this by far his best performance, best field he's beat. Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. Pretty shot there of South Ozone Park, New York.
It's a lot.
Track with maybe the best view of racing anywhere.
Yeah, it's a lot brighter out there than that one. I think it was through a lens because it's still bright out, nice out. No, I agree. No better place really to see the races than Aqueduct. We're gonna miss Aqueduct. I'm excited about the new Belmont. It's gonna be great. A lot of good stuff been written about it. About the services from Glenn Kozak. Excellent article in Blood Horse this week from Bobby Halt. Looking forward to getting there eventually.
Maggie's Palace, $6.60 for the win, third career victory. Eric Cancel for Jimmy Ryerson. Rico Racing. And we move on to race 8. 1 turn mile in the starter optional claiming group. And Heavenly Light, 9 to 5. Brad Cox, Manny Franco, another chance for number 4 for Manny.
That horse is dangerous. I prefer others. I like the 4, Adam May, who, that job by Christopher Elliott, maybe we'll show it a little later, just staying on last time out and then to lose the irons and come back and run
incredible.
Second was absolutely remarkable. And we've got the horse coming in from Oakland, Helen's Revenge.
So close out the card in New York. Meanwhile, back at Tampa, cool story. Cajun Gem, gone for almost 2.5 years. Now he's reeled off 3 in a row. Look, it was a bottom-level maiden claiming return win. Wins again for 25 non-winners of 2, but that beats a really good field here in start number 3. This horse might be pretty good.
No, I don't disagree with you. It's a nice win by this horse. The one had every chance to get there. It was really strong at the end. Nice performance by this horse. They were moving up front.
Shady Brook Farm owns, Michael Yates trains, Marcos Meneses in the irons for the victory. And not letting that massive favorite really make up any ground on that one in the stretch. $14.40 for the win, 3 in a row for Cajun Gem after all that time away. Take a look at the cross country, how it's played out so far. And there's your number with Cajun Gem coming in.
Only about $12.
Had to survive flash frozen in a photo.
Yeah, probably is a little over $80 for $2.
2 legs remain. Nightcap at Aqueduct and Tampa. Well, this horse all of a sudden has been thrust onto the scene as one of the top 3-year-olds in the sport. Colloquial debut came almost a year ago against the brother to Fierceness. Just missed against him. He did not miss in start number 2.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished 3rd.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back in South Ozone Park, New York, with the nightcap here at Aqueduct Coming up on America's Day at the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage, just going to close it out with a one-turn mile, starter optional claiming field, and a look at higher force George Weaver. Eric Cancel will team up with this horse from the rail.
Improved significantly from a buyer figure standpoint last time. I know Maggie likes this horse today. I wasn't as optimistic about higher force, but he is one of the horses taking money and did improve a lot off the claim.
Speaking of trainer George Weaver, what a comeback effort this was from Colloquial. Debut just missed against the brother to Fierceness, Mentee, who set a track record in that debut sprint. Long time away, and then blitzes this field. The fastest speed figure we've seen from a 3-year-old?
By far. I think 101 was the fastest fig before this. This got a 106. And for the non-figure makers on Twitter who always know when the figures are wrong, this figure made perfect sense. We talked about it on the show, and I said to you, this could be like a 104 or 105, judging by the races earlier in the day. This was a crazy fast race for this horse. And you just look at the gap, beating the second horse by 7. That horse was 11 or 12 in front of the third and fourth place finishers. This was an extraordinary performance. And I think people tend to say, oh, how could a horse have run that quickly at Aqueduct in February? Well, guess what? One did.
He really did.
Wasn't a bias, wasn't anything that made this horse better than it looks.
And look, we talked about with Sand Devil, it's going to be a quick comeback for him in 3 weeks going to the Gotham. And we'll wait and see what the plan is, if they're even thinking that first Saturday of May with this horse.
I've heard whispers they're not. They're going to be, maybe looking to get to the Woody Stevens, the Grade 1 on Belmont Stakes Day with him and try to break his non-winners of 1. Now, I'm sure the phones are ringing for the connections and people trying to buy into this horse, so a lot of things can change and change quickly. He is very, very talented. I don't care where he shows up. A lot of eyes are going to be on him. This is clearly a good, very good horse.
Yeah, that was exciting to watch in just his second career start in that long time away. 106 buyer speed figure in that return. Still the horse to beat here in this nightcap. Heavenly Light, Brad Cox, Manny Franco. A winner 2 starts ago, and then was second first try against winners, beaten favorite. We'll see if he can break through and get that second win today. Stay with us. Good to have you with us as we get set to close things out at Aqueduct and at Tampa Bay. This finale here in New York. 4 minutes from a start. 1 turn mile again. Even money now. Heavenly Light. What do you think?
I can't imagine any horse is even money in this race. I mean, in general, at this level in the winter, I'm a little reticent to take short prices. I know it's Brad Cox. It does seem like the Cox barn is, they've slowed down a little bit in New York. They were seemingly unbeatable. And this horse did run the best figure he's ever run, on the dirt especially, in his first start for the barn, and ran fine that day. But I don't think he's even money in here. I think it's crazy.
Here is higher force George Weaver, Eric Hansel.
I don't love the one in this race. I don't like it as much as Maggie does, but I respect her opinion, and B, I don't think this horse is 1/5 as likely to win as the 8.
It's 2 lengths behind your even money favorite when they met last start. Toxic Girl, Jose Jimenez.
If you had her last time at 14-1, I'd tip my hat to you. I don't know how she's going to be competitive here.
Gets Lasix here for the off that victory. Timia has Ruben Silvera.
She is dropping in class, but she's gotten progressively worse in each of her last 3 starts from a speed figure standpoint.
Here is Adam May, Mike Maselli barn.
Yeah, we got to show that replay. This horse was a crazy performance by her last time.
Helen's Revenge, Linda Rice taking over, Jose Lezcano.
First time against New York breds. They finally got the horse here. The figure 2 back wins the race. Is it legit?
Mad for Maddie. Ned Allard comes off a victory at Laurel against Maiden Claiming Company.
Even a Ned Allard fan like me can't make a case for this one.
And then here's the favorite, 6-5, stretching that neck out, Heavenly Light. Manny Franco looking for 4.
This horse can absolutely win. This is way over bet, in my opinion.
So new to the barn, 4-1, Helen's Revenge for Linda Rice. What can you tell us, Maggie?
Yeah, and stretching out for the first time, Greg, facing New York breds as well here for Helen's Revenge. It always makes me wonder, what are people thinking when they, especially this one, bought on the East Coast, just 4 hours south of here in Maryland, and they send it to California? Okay. As Helen's Revenge comes, she's got a lot of frequent flyer miles already racked up in her career. But looking at her, she actually looks as though she should be able to handle this stretch out in distance. Kind of a little bit smaller in stature, but a little bit more of a stretchy frame. Now, I don't love the fact that she was a bit of a handful to get the tack on. They had to do her outside on the walk with being accompanied by the outrider on the pony to finally get the tack on her. So sometimes that speaks of expending too much energy prior to trying a distance that is beyond what you've ever run before. But I think she fits quite nicely with the rest of the crew here. I will say, though, that Linda Rice does not have particularly good numbers. First off, a trainer change going sprint to route. She is 0 for 13. Moving on to what will be my pick in here. Number 1, higher force. I just like the development of this filly. She just keeps getting stronger, getting better. She's a big, lanky type that, of course, she's going to take some time to become that true athlete. And I think we're seeing signs of it. Like Andy said, first off, the claim for George Weaver, she took a step up. And furthermore, she was down on the inside. Unfortunately, again, she does draw on the inside, which I don't love. But she was down on the inside and just never in a comfortable spot, especially late in the game when your favorite in here, Heavenly Light, just made it very tight for her. And she had to kind of steady the last 16th of a mile with Eric Hansel aboard. So hoping that he can instrument a little bit more of a cleaner trip and get her to the outside. And plus, she's shown that she can handle a wet track. Moving on to number 4, Ada May in here. Now, look, she steps up in class. She ran remarkably well, as Andy will talk about. And she was somewhat flattered by the horse that she just outfinished. Carol said no, coming back and getting the win, improving her buyer. But in this same condition, she's facing much tougher horses this time around. Those front wraps do go on for the first time here for Mike Maselli. So I just didn't know how well she classed up against these foes today, JK, as I know you're interested in the Linda Rice import.
Yeah, look, I mean, Helen's Revenge is getting 2 L's. She's getting Lasix and she's getting Linda. I think both of those things are going to help quite a bit. The other thing with Helen's Revenge is if you look through her figures, she has the fastest figure that anything in here has ever run. Her buyer of 67 was faster than anything anyone else has run. And yes, Maggie, I agree with your point that Linda not great. Her numbers aren't great with stretching out off the claim, but stretching out on the dirt, she is good. So it's one of those situations where she still has an eye for it. It just doesn't work as well when she's doing it with horses she's claimed. This wasn't necessarily a claim. I'm hoping that this horse will handle the stretch out, getting the 2 L's, the Lasix, and the Linda. Go Chiefs.
All right, we got JK's Super Bowl pick there, slyly. 6-5 on Heavenly
Does
Light.
he like the favorite?
He does.
Okay. Just making sure. I want consistency.
The 4, real quick, on Anna May. What can you say?
Well, I mean, without seeing it, you have to see it to believe it. If you haven't seen the replay, Christopher Elliott basically almost fell off this horse and was out of the irons for close to a 16th of a mile.
Was remarkable.
Got the back irons back in and then closed to finish second. I realized they were all tiring behind the leader, but nobody else was running. I'm not saying the horse going to do it again today, but that was an incredible performance by her.
Elliott back aboard on the 4 here for Mike Maselli. Anna May. We're set for this nightcap from New York. Chris Griffin, the call.
Light to the outside. All set. And they're off. Heavenly Light broke out word, doesn't have the early speed as Ada May is in between horses, breaks nicely and right up to the front, is now ahead in front of right there Timea. They're the front 2 as they get set to come out of the chute. Mad for Maddie is off of them in third. Back and forth is Helen's Revenge. Heavenly Light is well off the pace early. Is going to be 5 off the leaders now as they come out of the chute, hook up with the backstretch, far back early, Higher Force and Toxic Girl. The front 2 go at it. Ada May is towards the outside here of Timea. They went 23.27 for the opening quarter mile. Mad for Maddie is in pursuit from third, starts to move in closer, and then in fourth there's Helen's Revenge. Now more comfortable there is Heavenly Light and Manny Franco on the move. They are still in fifth, but moving in closer behind that other pair. Now a gap still of about 8, almost 10 lengths back to Higher Force and Toxic Girl. Less than a half mile to go, and they're well into the far turn now. And the leader is Ada May. Timea dropped out of it. There comes the run from Mad for Maddie, 2 wide. 3 wide is going to be Helen's Revenge. And getting closer is Heavenly Light. And Heavenly Light's going to make a 4 wide run, but it is a eye-catching move here from Heavenly Light towards the outside. Also from the back, here's Higher Force. And Higher Force has gotten much closer to the leaders as they've got 4 across the racetrack through a 47-second flat half-mile time. And the leader is Helen's Revenge in between horses. Heavenly Light down the center of the racetrack. Still battling on there is Mad for Maddie, and the big long shot is still there. Mad for Maddie is now approaching that 16th pole, still clear of Heavenly Light, who's just grinding away. Mad for Maddie is a big number on the board, 24-1. Heavenly Light is trying to catch the long shot. Mad for Maddie got it. Mad for Maddie at 24-1 wins the finale over Heavenly Light. Then came Helen's Revenge and Toxic Girl in 1 minute 40.60 seconds.
Mad for Maddie, 24-1 monster upset to close things out. Carol Cedeno.
I think this is the first Ned Howard horse that's run in New York in 10 years that I haven't picked and bet on. I just couldn't really make it. And this horse ran extremely well because that was a ridiculous pace. And obviously the 3 just absolutely buried the 4 on the front end. And she couldn't handle it. This horse was the first to move on the pace. And when you're the first mover onto a fast pace collapsing, those horses don't usually win. Now, there was some bumping between the 6 and 8. I think the 6 is the one that came out a little bit more. It seems like 6 is in the whiter silks on the outside. There was a little bit there. I don't even think they'll bother to claim here. I mean, I think the 6 was a distant third here, Greg. Yeah, but this horse just, you know, we were also focused on the 6 and 8 coming together, and they were the 2 logicals that I think we all kind of didn't notice that Mad for Maddie, and then Chris Griffin said that Mad for Maddie's sort of not done, or whatever exactly he said, and it was true. Carol Cedeno with a winner in this race, and she's won a few races coming here. Nice to see.
7, 8, 6, 1, 24-1. Finale to the card. Pick 6, 56,000?
Yeah.
Wow. Finale at Tampa Bay. Here is a look at the 2-Starry Hope. Gabriel Maldonado rider change.
Oh, sorry. Where am I going here? Yep, this horse looked overmatched.
Vingativa has Adamar Santos.
Ditto.
16 claiming race, mile and a 16th on the turf here coming up. Here is the 4. thought a contender, Saratoga Gaze.
See how much speed a 6 shows on the outside, but a good scratch with the 1 coming out. This rider has to be aggressive here.
Eric Reed Barn, Vogelsang.
He won a Derby. This might be a more impressive win.
Rich Strike was, what, 81 to 1?
Sounds about right. Is this horse that price?
Here's Blossoming.
Yeah, probably a pace factor at most.
Another big price. Here's the favorite. EM's Treasure Girl just missed against Upper Sleeve last time.
11 seconds in 20 career starts. That's all for me.
Ariana Valentina is a 2-time winner on the turf.
That has no speed, but I thought this horse makes a lot of sense dropping down in here.
Yeah, third off the layoff as well. Comes from so far out of it. Up her sleeve. This one who beat the favorite recently.
Another horse in a good form right now, but last race is off the turf.
Timeless Rose going to drop in class.
Yeah, this is a very dangerous horse in the drop down. She may have just been facing much, much better horses.
And another Eric Reed runner on the outside at a big number, 39 to 1 on Tequila Empire.
You can get the 2 of them for about 15 to 1 as an entry.
Minute to post here in this finale. Let's go to Acacia.
And we'll start off with a horse that's currently favored, and that's the 7, EM's Treasure Girl. Just from a purely physical perspective, she probably does look the best. Great in her coat and in her weight as well, coming off, yes, 3 in the money finishes, 2 of them at her level. I know was beaten by Up Her Sleeve last time, but I actually thought that this mare ran quite well in that race coming on from the outside to kick on late, and she has a little bit of versatility, showing that she can run well when being a bit more forward as well. I liked everything that I saw from her. However, the 10, Timeless Rose, as Andy mentioned, just facing way better horses recently, even trying some State Bred Stakes Company and Horseshoe Indy 2 starts back. And you see that short comment that she got rank last time out. It looked like she was uncomfortable coming out of the gate, in that she kind of threw her head up, bumped into another horse, and then was squeezed back. And so it was really only her being rank for a few starts, just a few steps, I should say, just kind of struggling to find her footing a bit. So she does take a significant drop in class here, second off the layoff. She is a big, solid mare. I think this is a very good spot for her, and she is 3 to 1 right now, and I think probably the horse to beat, just based off of what she's been facing recently versus what she is facing today. The number 10, Ariana Valentina, is getting a drop as well, but back down to the $16,000 level. Now, 2 starts back, she did win a non-winners of 3 condition, whereas this is open company. So you have horses like the 10, who's a 7-time winner, whereas this mare, 3 wins to her name. So kind of those condition claiming races. I often with this level, especially down in Florida, take a look at things like that. And so it is going to be a little bit of a taller order for Ariana Valentina, though she did try that same Scarlet Poppy race and was far outmatched as well in there. Big, deep closer, though. She'll need some pace to run at, but she's very relaxed, very fit looking in this spot, Greg. So we'll see if she can work out a trip in the nightcap.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Terrific job out there all weekend. As usual, we have a off time at 4:50. We cannot change that. So unfortunately, this race you're going to need to watch on the Naira Bets app if you want to see what happens here at Tampa Bay. So head there if you want to see it. We are back next week, Friday, 3 Eastern start time. So that's where we're going to see everyone next with America's Day at the Races.
And then you abandon me, and I got to do your job all week. I got to work for a living next weekend.
I'm going to be watching. That's going to be fun. Yeah, I mean,
No,
gone
you
for a
aren't.
few days. Mad for Maddie. What an upset to close out the card here in New York.
And not a lucky winner of the race. Maybe she moved up on a wet track, but you make that first move into a collapsing pace, and your 2 biggest competitors are stalking you on the outside. That's a recipe for disaster. And it looks like, what we're showing right now, right? They've sort of swooped by her. But she just hung in gamely and held them off. A little bit of bumping.
Had this one in the pick 6. Wow.
Somebody smarter than me.
$56,779 return. Good luck making that betting the Super Bowl today, unless you play all those exotic wagers, the over on the anthem. What do you think, over under?
It's the coin flip. I like to lay a price on a coin flip. That's really where I put all my money.
Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the game. We'll talk about it next week. Hope to see you Friday again, 3 Eastern, when we are back on Fox Sports. Maggie's Palace out finishing Sue Ellen Michigan, turning the tables on that one this time around with Eric Kent selling the irons. And the feature at Tampa, this is such a cool story. 26 months away Cajun Gem had made just one start. He's come back off that layoff and won 3 consecutive races. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you on Friday.